7 o'clock in St. Louis. You're listening to The Morning After. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you. Doug, it's trade deadline day, and TMA is your trade deadline headquarters for the next 4 hours. Let's check the ticker.
Well, I don't know that I'm going to be able to check it, Tim. I'm not going to be much good to you today at all. Another Cardinal defeat, shutout. As if that wasn't enough. City loses an exhibition game, and I'm just supposed to keep going. Maybe you guys can do it. You're just built a little differently than I am. But if there were a ticker, I would try to check it. I just couldn't guarantee that I've got the stamina to get it done.
You call it a friendly or get the F out.
Mm-hmm. International friendly, Tim.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, Doug.
Papers, do you have a sounder we could have every time there's some news on the trade front? Maybe like that old current affair.
Mario Boyle.
Boom.
Yeah, let me see if I can find
me a sounder, boy.
All right. Jeez.
Please.
Doug, I've got a $20 wager with Jackson, and at 5:01, it best be in my Venmo today. The Cardinals will make a trade for more than 3.5 players from the current roster. Currently, 2 have left the facility, and I'm feeling pretty good about it because I'm sensing Nolan Arenado could be going based on what I have read. I would say overnight, but for the purpose of drama, I'm going to say overnight.
Brevity.
Yeah, to save time.
Okay.
With Steven Matz going late last night and Ryan Helsley going before the game, Nolan Arenado talking with MLB.com. Were you able to get that, Jackson? I were texting like at 4:10 this morning about this audio. I didn't know if it was like a one-on-one with John Denton.
I didn't know. I was looking up, down, left, right. All I could see was that it was on John Denton's MLB.com article, but I could not find audio. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and I'm still looking for it.
Are you really?
Yeah, Stiefel dossier is a living, breathing document. So
I was there during the pregame, and Matt's made himself available. Maton did. Helsley did. There were a lot of folks.
Sporting.
And I noticed that I didn't see Arenado, and I was wondering, he could have been lifting weights.
Could have been playing Golden Tee.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. It wasn't anything of note, other than we probably would have made a run at him just to see if he wanted to say something. You know, Helsley was great, and that he'd been nostalgic driving around town because he kind of knew it was coming. Matt's even said, I wish I'd been healthy, kind of admitting that his stay here was a disappointment, but never saw Arenado. So I'm wondering if John Denton talked to him post-game.
It was post-game.
It was post-game.
Because he was talking about Helsley going. This is the article. Speaking publicly for the first time in weeks about his future in St. Louis and the state of the Cardinals, just hours before the trade deadline, which is at 5 p.m. today, Nolan Arenado lamented the trading of Ryan Helsley and wondered if there might be a trade that would suit his desires to play for a World Series contender. This is from John Denton's article on MLB.com this morning. Arenado admitted that he was, quote, bummed seeing Helsley get traded to the Mets just minutes before the Cardinals lost 2-0 to the Marlins on Wednesday night, and Arenado wondered if a similar fate could await him before the deadline on Thursday, with the Cardinals clearly ditching their plans to contend and go all in on a rebuild focused on their young core and prospect base. Here are some quotes from Nolan Arenado per MLB.com. We'll see. I've got some things to take care of first. It'll probably be fine without a trade, but we'll let it play out and see where it goes. That is Nolan Arenado on the trade deadline. With regard to Helsley, he said, the way he carried himself was amazing, and he was a true professional. I'm going to miss him on the field and off the field. We'd go golf and hang out, so I'm going to miss him a lot. I'm bummed, but I'm happy for him, too. That is Nolan Arenado. And what I wonder, I get the sense, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, and it may be irrelevant to what winds up going on here over the next 10 hours, but the fact that Suarez went to the Mariners late last night, now you have 10 hours between now and the deadline for the teams that know they're not getting Suarez to go after Arenado. In other words, I think it's a good thing for the Cardinals and Arenado that was taken care of last night, because it sets the dominoes in motion. I don't think it's a coincidence, for example, that the Phillies make their move for a closer, and like 2 hours later, the Mets make their move for Helsley. I think you can have cause as an effect in the trade deadline, and so I think the fact that Suarez has already gone to the Mariners, that could expedite kind of conversations for Arenado. So I feel wonderful, Jackson, about your Venmo of $20 at 5:01 p.m. And if I don't have it at 5:02, just keep an eye on your back, because I got people.
Yeah.
You threatening to break his legs?
I just said I have people.
Some Francis Park Tufts.
Yeah. DB Proud, St. Mary's.
Oh, I fear the Cavalier personally, so.
How about the Arenado quote? We'll see. I've got some things to take care
What do you
of
think
first.
that is? Trimming shrubs or something?
And then he said,
Laundry.
it'll probably be fine without a trade, but we'll let
That's the
it.
enthusiasm.
But we'll let it play out and see where it goes. And I would have added there, Burwell-esque, he said, dripping in disappointment. Just, we'll see. I've got some things to take care of first. I'll probably be fine without a trade, but we'll let it play out and see where it goes. And this is after John Denton said that Mozeliak recently met with Arenado to determine whether the list of acceptable trade destinations had expanded. And this will lead to the text now immediately saying it's his own fault. There isn't a market for Nolan Arenado because he's not playing well.
Yeah, he doesn't hit.
It's on him. I mean, if he was playing well, the Cardinals would be glad to oblige.
Mm-hmm.
It is a weird situation. You have this potential Hall of Fame third baseman who wants out, who wanted out. They had a deal. It fell through. Still isn't really happy, but still isn't hitting. So here we are. And I think the three, I'm with you. I'm going to sit with Jackson on this. We'll split the loss if we lose. Buddy.
Oh, you're gonna. Hey, I'm taking
What is
more
it?
action.
What
if
is it,
you're
Sawbucks?
interested.
Well, yeah, but I want the whole 20.
You can have it.
Oh, wow.
You can take the win.
This is a no
I'm
upside.
interested in a $20 win.
I think. What do I have to say? 2 Sawbucks?
Yeah.
Double saw.
Double saw.
Double Sawbucks.
Yeah.
I think Maton goes today. Logistics, Doug. He didn't get on the plane to San Diego.
Oh, he didn't?
Phil Maton. They told Derek Gould reported that Maton was told to stay behind.
So there I am at 3. I just need one more.
I know,
Papers.
there's one domino, and I guess it's like probably the Arenado.
How you feeling about your wager? You think you're going to be Venmoing me at 5:01?
I don't love that these moves happened yesterday, like last night. Like I was hoping
So
maybe.
you see where I'm coming from on the Suarez move happening last night?
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, I see where you're coming from. But I saw someone reporting this great radio. Someone saying that Houston's probably not an option for Arenado at the moment.
Well, I think there's a little bit of history there, recent history, where
Yeah.
maybe they're not on the same page.
Yeah,
I don't know if
it
the
was John
same
Heyman.
teams would be going after Suarez that went after Arenado. There are two different levels of ability right now. Suarez is one of the leading power hitters in the league, and Arenado just can't hit a lick.
Well, that's where it surprised me when the report came out over the weekend from Mark Feinsand of MLB.com that put Arenado right back in the mix, saying that the teams that would not get Suarez would be interested in Arenado, and he was the one, for the record, who reported that there is no indication, despite the injury to Paredes, that the Astros would be going after Arenado. But the teams that would not get Suarez would be interested in Arenado. 2 of those teams were in the Cardinal division. One of those teams tended to their third base situation yesterday with the Reds acquiring Ke'Bryan Hayes from the Pirates. By the way, how about the Reds? Hyper aggro. By that I mean really aggressive for a team that, is not in at the moment. But they got Zach Little last night from the Rays right after he got done pitching against the Yankees. They get Hayes from the Pirates. That's a team that is trying to get in. And, who knows? They've got young players, and they have made a surge here to put themselves in position. Meanwhile, the Cardinals are in the opposite spot.
Well, you probably don't hire Terry Francona unless you think you're about to get better.
Agreed.
If you don't think you're about to
But
be.
a month ago, I don't think
they
were on the radar.
And it was on them to kind of turn things around. But I think if you have Terry Francona, you're like, all right. And you tell them in the offseason, we're not hiring you to go 70 and 92. We think we've got enough talent. If you could push it along in the next couple of years, we'll be a playoff-type contender. And they're just close enough. And at some point, and the Cardinals are going to be facing this soon, you got to give your fan base some reason to believe. And if you're a Cincinnati fan, the last few years, there's been no reason to think they're going to turn the corner. This is probably as close as they've been.
Yeah, there are only 3 out in the wild card. And you know what Daddy says about the wild card. Daddy likey.
Clip that off.
But the Reds are doing it with younger players. They don't have a bunch of old-timers on their team that are staggering to the end of a career.
Are they younger?
They're more younger than the Cardinals are.
No, that hurts.
I don't think they are.
Yikes, yikes, and yikes.
So if you got young players that you're going to hang with for the next several years, you might as well go all out and try to get in now.
You're going to look at Blaze Jordan in the eyes and tell him he isn't younger?
Well, I
Nice
haven't seen him
by the way.
yet.
That's a really nice haircut.
Whoa.
For Blaze or me?
You.
Oh, okay. Thank
Oh,
you.
you got a haircut?
I thought you were talking about Blaze Jordan. How do we know about his hair?
Yeah, I know. I mean, papers just hijacked it with a Blaze Jordan haircut take, but it was about Doug's hair.
Yeah, it looks great.
Did you get a haircut? You see Jerry?
Yeah, I did. I did see Jerry the
You ever
barber.
see Jerry the barber, Martin?
I don't know Jerry the barber.
Oh, it's Doug's guy.
Is this in preparation for you and Frank tonight? What do you got? You and Frank have a trade special tonight? Deadline deals gone
I'm gonna be
bad.
on 2-3 times a week now.
Well, I think the Arenado is. I think Tim. I think that's your only hope for 4. Mayton gets you 3.
Yep.
Papers gets his Sawbucks, but Arenado, I just don't see it.
You think he's the only possibility for the 4 spot?
No, I don't.
You think maybe like a Donovan? I mean, just like,
I don't think they'll trade Donovan.
I just could see it being just some rando to get me home.
right, that's what I'm worried about.
Right. I'm in the random business.
Yeah. Is like Hampson? Like, is
Oh no!
That would be the greatest.
like
Poor
as a
fella. He
kicker?
was at his locker yesterday. I said to Frank, I said, should we ask him if he's sweating this out? We're talking to all these guys at the deadline. He's probably like Arenado now. He's wishing he was in Cincinnati.
I would imagine with Arenado, it's a matter of who's going to pay for what. There's probably teams that would say, yeah, he's a
Right.
bit of an upgrade, but how much do we really want to spend on this?
Take a flyer, right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the Cardinals, what is your main motivation right now? If it is, in fact, to create runway, tired of it, or if it's saving money. If you said we'll pay half of it, he's making $16 million next year. You could eat 8 and save 8.
Oh, yeah, they'd
would
do
that
that.
be enough for a team that's kind of on the fence? It says, oh boy, his numbers, I don't know. Yeah, you got a winning player. If I'm Mo on the phone, you got a winning player, Hall of Fame caliber. But you'd have to eat some of that money, I think, for a team.
Oh, yeah.
So, but if your goal is to get younger and create spaces, wouldn't you just say screw it? Even if you save $5 million but pay 11, you save 6 but you pay 10. Wouldn't you do it?
That's what I and listen. I could be wrong, and I would welcome people DMing me at 5 o'clock to haze my balls off. It's wonderful. Doug, it's Timothy Michael McKernan on Instagram. It's a dormant account, and Jackson calls my Twitter account. What is it, a GIF depot?
Yeah, a lot of gifts.
A lot of retweets and GIFs, not really active, but you're welcome to DM there as well. But my read coming from the combination of Herrera with his cameo in left field and Arenado's comments following the game to John Denton of MLB.com that the Cardinals, with I think a lot of more influence from Bloom, are going to be more apt to make change at this point. And I guess it's pretty obvious now. I mean, Helsley's gone, Matz is gone, Mayton didn't get on the plane or isn't getting on the plane to San Diego. So 3 are going. And that's why I think Arenado's sitting there going, this is not the way I want to spend the couple of years that I have left playing baseball. So whatever it's going to take. I mean, if you would have told me 2 years ago I'd be playing in effing Detroit, I would have given you 100-1 odds. But damn it, I got to go. I'm not gonna waste the last couple of years of my career. So that's where I'm coming from. Do with it what you want.
Okay.
By the way, haze my balls off is not taken as a text inbox. A great point here, and this could lead to, we're going to need a judge's decision. They pointed out on the text line that technically Fedde was traded because they did get cash considerations before he got plucked off waivers. I think we're going to have to waive that one
He was traded
off.
before we made the deal.
Okay, now I am on your side. I'm just bringing it for clarity.
Yeah.
I want that addressed now.
Well, I'll have my counselor review the timeline, and we'll be reporting on that.
That's what you take to court anyway, to argue that.
That's what going to happen.
But it is fascinating that Arenado is clearly disappointed in the future of this team, and I agree. But I think they can't move him because of his lack of productivity, and that's on him.
Yeah, when he says he has some things to do, I wonder if one of those things might be to get a physical. So the team that might be interested in him wants to know, is this guy hurt? What's happened to him? Are we making a trade here for someone that's got a bad back or a bad shoulder? Is there some reason that he's lost his power? I would want to know that if I was another team.
But doesn't the other team need their physician to do that?
Yeah, man. Maybe they're flying a physician in or have one here in St. Louis that they trust. I don't know.
I'll probably be fine without a trade, but we'll let it play out and see where it goes. And then he added, I know Tim's got me moved, and that'll get him the Sawbucks, but I'm sorry, I can't be concerned with that.
Well, now, new report coming in just seconds ago, and I think I might offer Jackson a buyout to save him a little money, Doug. Bob Knighton. There it is. There's our little sounder.
Okay.
You like that?
I don't mind it.
The St. Louis Cardinals, this is coming from Bob Nightingale, who are wide open for business, have several teams, including the Astros and Phillies, expressing interest in the likes of Lars Nootbar, Alec Burleson, and Brendan Donovan.
Ah, rats.
I'll offer you a $15 buyout right now.
Nope. We're riding hard.
All right, fair
What
enough.
if it's JoJo Romero? That'd burn you a little bit, wouldn't it?
That would be tough. Oh, man. I
That's
hope
Bob Nightingale, 7:14 a.m. Doug, this is hot off the press. When there is breaking news in the sports world, assuming a listener texts it to us, we'll have it.
There's another update.
This just in, a Nootbar could be traded.
Nice.
Jackson, back to you.
Yeah. Who else is going to provide you with this kind of information?
Brendan Donovan could be traded.
Yes.
Brendan Donnie, that boy is scrappy.
He is.
Gorman hit a homer last night.
Says yes, yes, and yes. Trade all of them. That's Eric in the Central West End. I'm sorry, Martin, I stepped on you.
Trade the entire squad. Can you imagine getting to San Diego, though, that overnight flight, and you got a day off in San Diego, and they're like, can you get back on the plane? You've just been dealt. Like,
Yeah, you got a game in Miami. Take Nootbar, please. That's from Kevin at the lake. I think his thing to do is go to the standalone Auntie Anne's one more time. That's from Al in Dadeville.
Well, they have those in other cities, don't they?
I don't know,
I don't know if there's a standalone,
Right,
though.
right.
Like, that was a big moment for downtown.
Oh, I guess so.
Right.
They really revitalized much of the area.
Not having to park at like the mall to do
Oh,
that.
that's
to
just
go.
nice.
Sharon in Clayton is in 100% agreement with Eric in the Central West End. She says 100% agree. Face it, Jockety and LaRussa made most of the success of this ownership group. Tripp DeWitt is going to be 20 times worse than his dad ever could be. If you're 40 years or older, you probably will never see the Cardinals in the World Series again.
No.
And 1995 to 2015 will be a blip in the DeWitt legacy. Doug, that 2-decade run is a blip.
That's a blip.
Yeah. Didn't matter. It was completely irrelevant because this year we're having a rough year. Nothing else mattered that came before it. Probably a little unfair.
I did ask Oli Marmol pregame. I said, could you give us a little insight into how this all plays out recent weeks between Mozeliak and Chaim Bloom and how those decisions are made and what you are told and how that all works? And he said, no. And so afterwards I said, well, you're one of the few people who could really let us know. He goes, I know.
Can you elaborate on that? No. Okay.
That's more or less what happened. Then we're standing there talking after, and I said, it is pretty interesting. He goes, He was not going to give me any morsel there because clearly he knows who's coming to him and saying what's getting done and what. And if the guy in the bow tie's at the door every day and the other guy is just AWOL, he knows exactly how this is playing out. But he did not care to elaborate.
Dr. Xander Malanthrop is in that Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, and he says Arenado is going to spend the day revisiting places in St. Louis he didn't find all that fun in the first place. So, Doug, that is what I have to do some things first means.
I don't think it means he needs a pretzel.
What?
But you don't know that.
I don't know that for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but I just saw that Jake in St. Genevieve says, if you want to defend Arenado, Eric, have at it. I'm well beyond it. He needs to go. So a gentleman named Eric is in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat.
Okay.
And I guess he's defending Nolan Arenado.
Jackson, are you taking drop requests?
Oh, I'm sure he is.
Because I feel like what's appropriate right now is the one that says, here we are talking about the same thing as we were talking about Arenado in November and December and January. We were there in Florida in February. And guess what? It's the same.
We're sitting here again talking about the same things.
Yes. We're still.
And you think if they traded him, they wouldn't really get much back in return at all.
Correct.
They just want to get out from under some
Cash
salary.
money.
If you were the Cardinals, all right, Doug, here's the number: $16 million next year, $15 million the year after that, $31 million. How much will you pay of that salary for him to play elsewhere? 20? Too high? You save 11.
That's too high. Yeah.
15. You save 16.
I might do that.
What about the deferred money? Who pays that?
If you're still paying him a bunch and you get nothing in return, and he goes somewhere else and either gets healthy or finds his hitting stroke and has 2 more really good years, then you're going to be sorry that you ever did that.
If you felt better about Gorman, would you be more inclined to ship him in the money?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Trade Pages. Wow.
Hell no.
I don't care where to or what for. Just get him off this team. That's from Little Beer
No.
Cat's cuck stool.
Yeah, you have to protect the catchers.
Over my cold, dead body.
What if this organization only has 2 catchers on the roster when they open things up against the Padres tomorrow night, Jack?
Start playing the violins now.
And then
Team
Herrera
is
says,
cooked.
I
Move
thought
to
I was an
Nashville.
outfielder. Phil Maton did say, he goes, hey, this happens. He goes, when you're a reliever, he goes, and you're usually on a 1-year deal, he goes,
yeah.
it just happens.
Absolutely.
He was dealt at the deadline, it looked like in 19 and in 21. He just kept saying, it's fine, it happened. Everyone was saying, like, how do you deal with it? He goes, hey, I'm a reliever, I'm on a 1-year deal, it happens.
Yeah, you're making a couple million a year. You just kind of deal with it.
Yep. I would be excited to get traded. If I'm Helsley, I'm going to the Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. And he ain't even going to be the closer.
Yeah, this is a thing set up.
Yeah. They're still going to keep Diaz. They brought over Rogers as well. Mets making moves, trying to set up that 7th, 8th, 9th thing that the Royals were able to execute against the Mets en route to their World Championship in 2015.
There's a real Mets-Phillies rivalry, too. As those moves were playing out, you can tell.
100%.
Like, Dombrowski
The Mets
and
responded.
Philly.
It was a great
Yes.
thing. That's why I think the Suarez thing, if you want Arenado to go somewhere, I think that happening last night as opposed to him still being out there at 2 in the afternoon today is a good thing. So it sets the stage. All right, if we need a third baseman, this is where we're going to have to turn our attention. And I think that benefits the Cardinals. And considering Arenado's comments, it certainly sounds like he is open to going. And I think it could wind up being a team that wasn't on that list that he gave the Cardinals back in the offseason. So, hey, got 2 months there, but the issue is you got 2 years there as well. Cardinals are going to wind up eating a lot of that if it comes down to an actual move. You're welcome to give your thoughts. 314-399-9646. Air Comfort Service is the sponsor of the text inbox. Then you have the phone lines, which are brought to you by Callier and Thompson, 314-974-0101. It's also the last day to apply to be the TMA Listener of the Month. You go to tmastl.com. Jackson, what happens when you do that? I know you got the Papal Conclave.
Yeah, you sign up. Takes about 90 seconds or less. You can keep your anonymity, and then I go in through the back end, take a look at who. Exactly. Take a look at who's applied. Come up with a short list. Send it over to you boys, and next thing you know, we have a Listener of the Month.
There you go, Doug. That's how it works. That's all you got to do. Go to tmastl.com. You can sign up. You can also email in for our Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email today, the morning after at InsideSTL.com. Only 2 people have a chance to win the month of July. One's name is Buck Swope, and the other's name is Paul Harvey. Milk Mustache. Paul Harvey with a 1 email lead over Buck Swope. It is going to be one hell of a showdown here coming up at 10:45. You can email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com for our Design, Air, Heating, and Cooling email of the day. Design Air is online at designairservice.com. Doug, conditions in the St. Louis metropolitan area with the skies looking threatening but cooler. And sweet mother of mercy, is it wonderful to take a look at the forecast. I'm telling you, we're talking about highs today, no more than might not even get out of the 70s. A high tomorrow of 80 and sunny. High Saturday, 79 and sunny. High Sunday, 80 and Sunday.
That's about perfect.
Woo! cats and dogs. Should you run into any issues with your air conditioning, you go to designairservice.com. The longest-running sponsor on TMA. Martin's a client. Doug's a client. I'm a client. It's Design Air Heating and Cooling, 4th generation with Seth Goldcamp and his team. Not upselling you, just fixing it. It's Design Air Heating and Cooling. Online at designairservice.com, the sponsor of our email of the day. We have all kinds of Cardinal reaction coming up in our next segment. Oli Marmol and Contreras saying he wants to say. Ryan Helsley reflecting on the possibility of being traded right before he was traded. And Oli Marmol and the unfortunate reality of trading players at this stage in the season for the Cardinals. All of that is coming up. It is TMA. It's presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.
Trade deadline music. Yeah, it's a whole genre.
That's right. Headline ditties.
David Coverdale of Whitesnake?
I don't know who it is.
Yeah. Cardinal Creed.
So pained.
A lot of emotion.
Damage to the soul.
A lot of emotion.
Even the hot dogs taste like defeat. But there's a spark in the ashes, a whisper in the air. You rebuild from the rubble if you dare. Sail, it's time to let go. Mo needs to work that magic mojo. This season sings.
This should be playing in the Cardinal offices.
Hey, Trip, play it.
I think this is a trade deadline song.
Is that from Mike?
Yeah. Shout out to Mike.
There's bands that specialize in that. Just a few days around the trade deadline.
Yeah, it's kind of
really
like
big.
Elvira, Mistress of the Night. Doesn't have to work much of the year.
Yeah, it's like Mariah Carey's Christmas album. Like, you make all your bones in 1 month.
Right.
That song is a banger. That's from the 314. Daughtry vibes right there.
Little
That's from
bit.
the 423.
Yeah, good call.
How do these arrive? They just email you at night and say, got a new one, buddy.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Like I'm running Motown Records. Just send them on
Barry
in.
Gordy? Was that Barry Gordy, Doug?
Barry Gordy.
I believe so.
And was his son Rockwell? And
I
that's
don't
how they
know who
got
his son
Michael
was.
Jackson on Somebody's Watching Me? Am I right on that?
I don't know who his son was.
Was this before he took Bubbles, the chimpanzee, to some award show?
I think it was the same year, but before he took Emmanuel Lewis of Webster.
Which one's weirder? Gosh, I was reading about this Blaze guy, and now I got to read about Hold on, Bubbles Award Show.
Don't you have to be kind of mentally ill to take a chimpanzee to an award show?
Clip that off.
Wouldn't-
Doug Strawman it again, Martin.
if you were a
seriously.
psychiatrist, wouldn't you say, yeah, we lost this one?
I got nothing. I got nothing. Doug AI will tell you that the question likely refers to the documentary Michael Jackson and Bubbles, The Untold Story.
Mm-hmm.
It focuses on the relationship between Michael Jackson and his pet chimpanzee, Bubbles. Bubbles was a significant part of Jackson's life, even accompanying him on tour and during household activities. I don't know what that means.
It's just odd.
Anyway, that's
Some of these chimps will eat your face off.
Yeah,
Flip that off.
for sure.
You've seen pictures of those people who had their faces eaten
Powerful
off by
animals.
the chimps.
Got a trade deadline, and we're talking about Bubbles.
Yeah, that's the brand. It is TMA 101 ESPN, the program presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. Watch it at youtube.com/TMASTL, where Eric Bishop is in an argument with, is he arguing with John Scores or John Cusick, Doug? Or maybe both of them.
I don't know who he's arguing with.
Yeah, that's the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. YouTube.com/TMASTL. Martin, you were down at the old ball yard last night and talking it over. So you are aware of the context of the sound that we have for this segment. What do you got?
Well, they're pregame, and everybody's kind of got the same idea. Frank Cusimano was down there with his colleague, Corey Miller. And I, of course, said, where's Doug? They said he's back at the studio. He's going to anchor the 5 and the 6.
Ready.
But I told Corey, I said, the way it works is you sort of lurk as a media member and you just wait, because for a while there was nobody in there. Pedro Pajes did some interviews about the deadline, and I thought, God bless him.
Get in
but
there. You never know.
No,
Who's gonna say
I
something.
sat that one out, just hoping for some of the key players to arrive. And I told Corey, I said, now watch Frankie. What you do is you lurk, then small talk. Hey, how you doing? God, it's hot, isn't it? And then you pounce. You got a second? And Helsley was standing, goes, hey, guys, what's going on? Geez, what do you want to talk to me about? And they said, you guys know more than I do. But then was very reflective, I would say, on his time in St. Louis.
Would you like to go to a team that's got a great chance to win the World Series? Would you like to be moved?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal, for every player you want to play in October because, you never know if it's going to be your last time or your only time, you can kind of take it for granted sometimes. And, I think when you have that chance and, if another team wants you to add you to their team, I think that's a big deal. I showed up to the clubhouse a little early the last couple of days and just driving around the city a little bit and just taking a few things in. But, I've enjoyed my time here. St. Louis has been great to me, I've given everything I've had, the last 7 years I've been here and tried to help the team win. Yeah, it's a weird feeling, honestly, It's like if your employer didn't want you, and they're shipping you out of town, it's like, well, your whole being's here, You know, I got to move states and all that, but, you know, it comes with baseball and just the nature of being a professional athlete, and, you know, I'm thankful for it and blessed to be in this position.
Oh, right down the middle. Nice.
Well, he said he drove around town a little bit. Maybe that's what Arenado needs to do first, Doug.
Yeah, that could make sense. And then that goes back to the report we got in the text inbox that he wants to visit the standalone Auntie Anne's that revitalized downtown St. Louis.
Is that where you go?
Good
On
car
the way
snack.
out, just
a good
reminisce?
car. Yeah. Take that on the road. They got those little cups you can put it in for your cup holder. Yeah.
Do you get a soppin' with your pretzel?
Yeah, absolutely.
What soppin' you get, boy?
Cheese. Probably a cheese. If it's a savory pretzel. Well, if it's one of those sweet ones, with
Sounds
the
like an
cinnamon,
artery clogger.
Those are good. You get the icing on the side.
Oh,
I probably haven't gotten one in 5-6 years, but
Tim, when you were a kid, did they sell them over there on Jameson a lot?
Oh, you better
Out of
believe
the
it. There was a
boxes?
gentleman who
At the
would sell
stop
pretzels
sign?
at the stop sign right there by Epiphany.
on
Pizza
Filer?
Go-Go. Yep,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
I thought it was an odd occupation, selling pretzels out of a box at a stoplight.
He's still slanging them on the weekends.
Is he?
Yeah.
Even odder that people would walk by and buy unopened food from a unknown gentleman and immediately eat it.
It was assumed that they were from
Once again,
Gus's,
Doug
right?
attacked St. Gabriel's, this time a little more passive-aggressively.
Well, do you do that often? Here's a guy on the side of the road. I'm going to get some food that he's been holding here for a couple hours and eat it?
If you're lucky enough to win your basketball game on the road at St. Gabriel's, you celebrate by getting a pretzel right there on Jameson and Filer.
Is that right?
That's
Well,
a tradition unlike any other. It's essentially the green jacket of the 63109.
It's a pretzel, you know. It's dependent on the food. Like if he's trying to slop you a bowl of French onion soup, he'd probably pass. But if it's a pretzel,
Who
you know,
knows who's handled the pretzel? Where
it's in a
been?
bag.
What about a fender bender, Doug? Do you tell your insurance agent, well, I was stopping to grab a pretzel? Well, where were you? In the middle of an intersection. Rear-ended somebody.
I don't know. I've never eaten that way.
But I appreciated Steven Matz was very candid about his time. And then I talked to Wilson Contreras for a little bit, too. I said, people are trying to understand why you want to stick around. And he was like, we've got work to do. And he said, I believe in this team, which I think people are surprised. But he keeps saying, I believe in this team. I said, how does this play out? And he said that he said the president. He goes, the president came to talk to me. And I think he meant Mo, not Trump. But he said the president came to talk to me. And I said, were there teams? He said, I think there was a team, maybe more. I don't know. He said, he just told me there was some. What do you think? And he said, I told him I think I'm going to stay. And I said, so you're good? He goes, I think so. So there felt like there was it's a little wiggle room there. But he wants to be here, clearly. And then I asked Oli about that. I said, when you got a guy, because if you're Oli, I mean, if everybody's jumping ship, you're like, oh, my God, what do I have left? This is Oli on Contreras wanting to stay.
But when you hear Wilson say, I want to stay, and I don't think we're that far off, what does that mean to you?
It means a ton. I've had several conversations with Wilson, and it made it really clear that he likes what we've got going on here. He likes the direction this is headed, the core of guys that are here, and just overall attention to detail that it's going to take in order for this to get where we want it to get to, and he wants to be a part of that. So it's in my seat, it's obviously really good to hear one of your leaders double down on the fact that this is where they want to take care of business.
So Tim on one end of the locker room, well, actually they're a similar corner. Contreras is liking what they're doing, wants to stay. Probably 6 feet away is a third baseman, just dying to get out of here. Dying to get out of here.
You know, Ollie's got to say the kind of things he said, but what direction is it that you like? Is it the fact that the team's not hitting, it's sinking fast in the standings?
That they're going young, Doug. That
Starting
they're
pitching's falling
turning it
apart?
over all the young guys that are in Springfield that are supposed to be here, but they're injured.
They've turned over a couple of relief pitchers. It's not much of a change in direction, really.
Maybe he's teasing a possible return to the navy blue hats on the road.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, I
hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Didn't even think about that. Yeah. Gosh, I'll just shut up.
Oli won't be the manager next year. What's his opinion matter? That's Eric in the Central West End.
I'm not convinced of that.
Is that right?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I need to get some more intel. If you're Chaim Bloom, I would think you'd start over with your own guy. I think Ollie's talked a little bit about that, knowing that he's got a year on his contract. That doesn't mean anything. But I don't know. They got the lockout the year after that. The team's not going to be great. Can you just roll it over and say, hey, let's see what happens in 26?
I mean, what's it going to look like next year operating on that premise from an attendance standpoint? And what's it going to look like here over the final couple of months? And it's of note, I'm scrolling through Instagram looking for Ella Reese's posts, and the Cardinals are advertising Cubs tickets on Instagram to try to
in a
catch some of the
flash
young
sale, I
tickets.
think.
Yes.
Do you ever think you'd see that?
No, sir.
On a weekend, no less?
No, sir.
$15 for a Sunday Cards-Cubs game.
I guess they want to fill up the stadium so it looks a little better on national TV, maybe? Maybe they don't worry about national TV. I don't know.
I think they just worry about the revenue.
Yeah.
Who the hell's going to come up and play when we trade all these guys in a bullpen? That's from the 314.
It's a fair question. A little short on arms. I think Graceffo's just been recalled. Maybe you get a lot of Granillo and Graceffo down the road here.
That's exciting.
Riley O'Brien might be closing things out eventually. I like the direction we're headed.
Well,
Wilson.
the way they're
He
playing.
means it. That's the crazy thing. If you talk to him, he believes it. He's excited about being here. He really,
I really am curious about that.
He's a really interesting. I said, didn't you have a weird Cubs? He goes, yeah. 3 years ago, he said, I was saying all my goodbyes. He goes, we got to St. Louis. They said, you're still here. It's unbelievable.
Well, the way the Cardinals are playing now, they may not need a closer.
Oh, that's good.
So they may not even know that Helsley's gone.
Ollie, would you say it's a good thing you don't need a closer anymore?
Shut out twice in a row by the Marlins.
But you're right.
Weather delay in the doubleheader. Is it pretty easy to brush this one under the rug and focus all the attention to this weekend?
No, this one ticks me off a little bit.
So you've traded Matz, which is not a huge thing. You traded Helsley, which had been expected, maybe necessary even a year ago. But the return, at least the Mets return, they're all really low A or young. This was not a baseball trade, Doug.
Well, it was a baseball. They're all baseball.
No, it wasn't.
trades.
These are not major league ready. Be a couple of years. Did you like the return, guys? Did you break it down last? Did you do an emergency pod on the return?
Yeah, it's tough because I know the trend of our particular industry is to act like you have a clue who these people are and scream. I operate on the premise that, Doug, I have absolutely zero clue who these gentlemen are. I know that Keith Law thought that the Mets got away with one by being able to acquire Helsley for 3 guys who are not close to being at the big league level, and he said maybe 1 or 2 will get there, but this isn't going to be a trade that the Mets will someday regret. Again, who knows, but that is somebody whose gig is to study the organizations, even going down to A ball.
Mm-hmm. Well, you knew this would happen. They'll trade players for guys you never heard of and just hope that a couple years down the road somebody develops into a useful player.
I guess you see like what the Twins get for Duran, and it's like, that seems like a better return than what the Cardinals get. And how much better is Duran than Helsley is, I guess, the question you have to ask yourself.
By the way, Keith Law has over 435,000 followers, but his posts are protected. Only approved followers can see Keith Law's post. So is that a money thing? I don't know. I'm at Keith Law on X. Baseball writer, blogger, foodie. Got the ire of LaRusso when he didn't put, wasn't it the Wainwright vote where he didn't have him in the top 5 in the Cy Young or something?
And that's what cost him the Cy Young?
Yeah. Got him
in
really.
2009. From the Cardinal perspective on the Matz deal, the Cardinals are getting an A- grade, the Red Sox a B+. The Cardinals on getting Blaze Jordan in return. Blaze Jordan is somebody that some Red Sox fans are not happy is going out the door for Steven Matz. He's a corner infielder, not a speedy center fielder, so at first you're disappointed with the name-player combination, but then you look at the picture of him, and he totally looks like a guy named Blaze who lived in the same dorm as you, 2 floors down, which makes the name-player combo work. He's also an interesting prospect. Jordan is a 3rd rounder out of a Missouri high school, and he makes a ton of contact, and he's still young enough at 22 to where power might still be developing. Keith Law writes that he'll show off 70-grade power in batting practice, but that he can't replicate it in game situations. Considering that he had more walks than strikeouts in AA before a promotion, a little more power could turn him into a future regular. That's a mighty fine return for a middle reliever, even for one who knows how to pitch. Even for one who knows how to pitch. Doug, that was written by Grant Brisby.
Okay. He said he out of a Missouri high school. Is that what you just read?
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing Mississippi, DeSoto Central.
Well, we got a DeSoto too, pal.
I know, but it's not in Mississippi. It's in DeSoto.
That's a mighty fine return for a middle reliever, even for one who knows how to pitch. That sentence also stood out to me, minus the Missouri-Mississippi thing.
Yeah. Well, Blaze Jordan does have some impressive stats in the minors. I'll give him that. He's at 55 home runs down there. Not this year, of course. But.
Doug, Andy McCullough gave both sides, Cardinals and Mets, a B. Tyler Kepner gave the Cardinals Hall for Helsley a B-. The Keith Law quote was that it was an effing heist for the Mets. Bradford Doolittle, whose list we've often read here.
Yes.
David Schoenfeld, Bradford Doolittle of ESPN graded the Cardinals' return for Helsley as an A-, giving the Mets just a B in the deal. There you go, Doug. Huh. That'll kind of decide things, won't it?
Yeah, it will. That's the final word on that. I think the Mets would be pretty happy to get a reliever who at times is, when he's on, he's close to unhittable, and you give up 3 guys in the low minors. Teams do that all day.
I'm curious to see what he looks like as a setup man, as opposed to a straight closer.
Shouldn't be too much different.
I'm curious to see.
I think what it's going to allow the Mets to do is, if there is a key situation, say you're going up against the Phillies 2, 3, 4 guys in a series, that they can bring Diaz in there and then have Helsley close out the game. So I think that gives them that kind of flexibility. You'll see teams utilize it. That's what I would imagine that it does. But for the most part, save opportunities for Ryan Helsley will decrease substantially now that he is going to Queens. Your thoughts on these deals, 314-399-9646. That's how you can text into the program. It's brought to you by Air Comfort Service. Michelob Ultra is our sponsor of the YouTube chat, youtube.com/TMASTL. And you're also welcome to call in, 314-974-0101. Callier and Thompson phone lines. Trade deadline coverage here throughout the day on TMA and 101 ESPN. The deadline, 5 p.m. Central. Cardinals have already moved Ryan Helsley and Steven Matz. Phil Maton, per Derek Gould, not even going on the flight to San Diego. And now Bob Nightingale reporting just this hour that the Phillies and Astros are both in talks with the Cardinals regarding Lars Nootbar, Brendan Donovan, and Alec Burleson. John Denton of MLB.com talking with Nolan Arenado following the game last night, and he certainly sounds open to being traded now. So all of these things could be going down here over the next 9 hours. 101 ESPN will be on top of it. Listen throughout the day. You can stream it via the 101 ESPN app and or the TMA STL app. Download them both. Podcast via the Schaefer Door Company. Podcast online at schaeferdoor.com. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you on the program. It's TMA, presented by Brown & Crouppen on 101 ESPN. Aesthetic Design and Build is the place to work with if you want to enjoy what's going to be some beautiful weather here over the next 5 or 6 days in St. Louis. Take your outdoor living space to the next level with Aesthetic Design and Build. Dan and his team at Aesthetic Design and Build have you covered. Check them out online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com, or you can check out their showroom in Chesterfield Valley. They walked me through all the different types of custom work that they're capable of doing, from a full-on custom deck to adding on a pergola, or even looking to shade your covered patio with retractable screens. They really do have answers for it all. It's Aesthetic Design and Build online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com. Check out the showroom and let their expert team walk you through all the different outdoor solutions that they offer, from pergolas and retractable screens all the way to their patented underdecking system. Their goal is to provide a custom solution that matches the look and feel of your home. It's Aesthetic Design and Build, outdoor living spaces expertly designed, online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com.
This is Jackson with a SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Wandoff Chevrolet and Johnny Wandoff Autoplex. Trade deadline at 5 p.m. today. A lot going on before that, including the Cardinals trading closer Ryan Helsley to the Mets for 3 of their minor league prospects, including shortstop Jesus Baez. That was another SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Wandoff Chevrolet and Johnny Wandoff Autoplex. See them at wandoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Trade deadline looms like a storm in the sky. Who's staying, who's leaving, tell me why. Sell, 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 it's time to let it go. More work, your magic, we're sinking low. No fans, no faith, no 7th inning spark. 2025 is a season lost in the dark.
Stapleton, though?
I don't know who it is.
A straw cowboy hat, maybe. Singing about nacho cheese. And then the team quietly hits the deadline with back-to-back shutouts, Doug. Nobody even noticed. They lost back-to-back games of the Marlins being shut out.
Well, Jackson noticed in the Steve dossier because, unfortunately, now the Cardinals series record is 16.
Oh, yeah.
16-3 on the season.
Doug doesn't acknowledge that as a significant stat, yet the Cardinal postgame notes last night indicated they are 1-6-1 in their last 8 series.
Yeah,
so even the team is acknowledging there's a series.
First time they've been even on that number since I've started tracking it.
And they're 500 for the first time since May 7th.
That would be about that time. See, Doug? It does matter.
It doesn't matter.
Well, the Cardinals put in their game notes.
I'm looking at the standings right now, and nowhere on there does it say series wins and losses because it doesn't matter.
Well, if this were the MLS, it would say 55-55, 1-6-1.
Well, depending on which website you're on.
And then the other one would say 1-6-1, 55-55.
Home would be on the left side.
Yeah.
They need to stop that. Stop trying to be
Do you
different.
go wins, losses, draws, or do you go win, draw, loss? No. Depends what website you go to.
It's supposed to be wins,
so I always
losses,
get the record wrong.
Like how they do month, date, year. All confusing.
It's TMA 101 ESPN. The show's presented by Brown and Crouppen. Martin, do we have a surprise guest coming up at 9 o'clock?
Yeah, a significant guest.
Steve Dossier, surprise guest, 9 o'clock, Doug, and I guess you probably want to get initials.
I was even told by the guest not to give initials.
Wow.
Really?
Must be somebody familiar with the program.
Is that obvious?
Okay.
Jackson vetted this one and said, go for it. So we're good.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
That wasn't me being like a smart ass.
I just thought I'd double check.
This person come from the sports world?
The sporting world.
Sporting world.
I would agree with
Somebody
that.
from Sporting KC? Wow. Huge.
I have the roster printed out just in case we get stumped.
Talk about that friendly.
I hand them out as we're asking 8 questions in a row. So what kind of sport do you play? And I'm handing you guys sheets.
Are there guys that kick with both legs?
Frances is on my all-time wish list to give him as a surprise, but I don't think it'll happen, especially if he finds out what's been said. But you never know.
Doug, you want to fire a puck on the net and figure out who the surprise guest is? Does it tie into the trade deadline?
Not.
I think Jackson might have intentionally given off a false tell there.
I'd say not on purpose, not really.
Like he
but
was traded at the deadline at some point. Yeah, boy, I
could be
stumbled on something there.
No, it's not true.
It's Will Clark again, isn't it?
I wouldn't mind Will Clark. Told me that whole thing was blown out of proportion. I'm like, yeah, we played the clip. It was pretty funny. He's like, yeah, that was taken way out of context. I'm like, you just MF'd a guy for like 30 seconds. I don't know what was taken out of context. No initials. I'm sorry. 9 o'clock, surprise guest.
Surprise guest, Doug. Steve
I'd say it's someone of significance.
Nice. That's coming up at 9 o'clock here on TMA, the program presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel, where 230 friends have gathered, like Jake and St. Genevieve, Dr. Xander Malanthrop, Doug's Fixed Gong, John Scores, Eric Bishop, and the TMA Remote Lamp. They're all in there, and they're all talking it over about said presentation and said trade deadline. And Doug, it looks like there's a gentleman not happy with you. His name is Evil Zergling.
Okay.
Well, are these guys going to talk about the prospects we got back? And if they're good, they said they're talking trade deadline today. That's evil Zergling. Doug, I know you have been monitoring the 4 players' careers. And go ahead and break them down.
Well, with Blaze Jordan, just as I remember, I'm not reading or anything. I think he was a 3rd-round pick from the Red Sox in 2020, selected by then Boston Chief Baseball Officer Chaim Bloom, who now works for the Cardinals, of course. Jordan, 22, is a power-hitting first baseman who started the season at AA and was promoted to AAA in early June, period. Across both levels in 2025, he has 20 home runs, 61 RBIs, while batting .304. So those are pretty good numbers.
It is interesting, the Red Sox connection, and it being a player Chaim Bloom drafted. It tells you maybe the room, Chaim and Mo are sitting there and saying, what can we get? Sure. What do you think? What do you like? I think that's a tell. Last year, Ryan Fernandez, they got from the Red Sox, somebody that Bloom knew. They got Kitteridge from Tampa, somebody that Bloom knew. So I think you are seeing, even though it's Mo's show, I think you're seeing Bloom's fingerprints on some of these moves. That's interesting.
Yeah. And in the Helsley deal, just off memory and the little bit of scouting I've done, the Cardinals acquired 3rd baseman Jesus Baez and right-handers Nate Dome and Frank Illisault in the deal. Baez was the number 5 prospect in New York's farm system, according to ESPN's Kylie McDaniel. He's batting .242, 10 homers, 722 OPS. I think it's 722. I'll go back and check. That's in 75 games across single A and high A this season.
This is at the top of your head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is straight improv right now.
Wow. The Cardinals now have Jesus Baez and Joshua Baez in prospects. Think about that. How fun would that be?
Would you rather have more Baez's or catchers?
I think you want, the ratio should be 2-to-1. So you want 2-to-1 catchers to Baez. Baez? What's the plural of Baez, boy?
Well, if we could get
I feel like in baseball these days, any phone call with GM's like, you got a Baez? You get one in the deal.
We can toss an A Baez.
Doug's still mad that Javi Baez was an all-star.
Starting outfield.
Arenado for Baez. There we go. 3 Baez's.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
Brian Henson is not high on the surprise guest. He says, oh, good. Another one of Jackson's buddies. That's from Brian Henson, who is standing by at Colts camp. And Martin, I mean, think about some of the surprise guests.
You are no longer the number 1 Asian intern, Henson.
No, how about that?
No, he's not.
It would be great if on trade deadline day we had Sweet Kai on at 9 o'clock.
Zip it, Colts wannabe beat writer. Yeah, we had Sweet Kai, and that was clearly sold as something of a clarity. It was a surprise guest providing clarity, and it was followed up with the Plowhawk. It was all tied together.
It was a matrimony special.
Thank you.
Surprise guest is at 9 o'clock here on the program. Trade deadline coverage throughout the day, both on TMA and 101 ESPN. The program's called The Morning After. It's presented by Brian and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel. Hey, 101 ESPN, Fisher Window and Door Store, 8 o'clock hour. The program is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. And Doug, look, here in studio with us from Brown and Crouppen, it's Ed Hermann and his son Brody, sporting a classic Morning After T-shirt. Brody, I like that one. That's
absolutely. Where can people buy those T-shirts?
TMASTLshop.com
Folks,
is where
you got to get on there right now and get one a T-shirts.
That's a sharp look.
It's a sharp look, and it looks good on everybody.
Now, you guys brought in a young lady who came in studio, but right when we were coming back from break, she bolted like the wind.
Yeah, she bolted. That was my daughter. Well, we are heading up to Chicago immediately following today's program. We're going straight to the airport. We've got big plans. So I brought her in the studio, but yeah, she got a little.
She didn't want any part of this
radio
song and
shy.
dance. Yeah.
See, that's how it is with your children. They're not all the same. You get one who
Brody likes to be on.
He's all
Caroline
about it.
wants nothing to do with it.
I kind of heard him say, "Get out! I got this."
Is that right?
Yeah, right before.
I assumed he was talking to me.
How's the wrestling show going, bro?
Oh, it couldn't be going any better. This past week we had Jim Ross on to talk about Hulk Hogan's death.
Doug, what does he sound like? Give me an impression of Jim Ross.
Oh, that's a slobber knocker king. No, that was Jerry Lawler.
Jesus Christ, Dr. Xander Malanthrop. I've been here 2 seconds and you're already ragging on me.
Oh, no, that's.
Oh, wait, Doug, you know what? Everyone, Doug's fixed going. They want Brody. You know what? I'm going to step back and you talk about
free Brody. Hashtag free Brody.
Yeah, no. It's wrestling on
Give the people what they want.
Wrestling on the Spectrum. Yeah, it's on 11 a.m. every Saturday. So it goes pretty well. 5:90 a.m.
How did you get him?
Yeah, how'd you get the Cowboy?
Jim Ross, obviously. Dave Green has a great relationship with Conrad Thompson. And Conrad Thompson actually hosts his show, Grilling JR, with Jim Ross. So that's how the connection is brought upon. That's how we got Jim Ross on for the show.
How was he? Good?
Oh, he was great. He was peppy Jim. He was Jim Ross.
Peppy Jim.
Yes, he was very peppy.
Well,
yes.
well, he's peppy. It was, Hulk Hogan died that week.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's why he was peppy, but it's definitely what he was talking about on the show.
Yes, absolutely. The voice of wrestling for numerous amount of years.
What is your opinion on Hulk Hogan's legacy, bro?
Hulk Hogan's legacy will be that he's one of the biggest box office attractions in the history in the sport of professional wrestling. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Hogan is an icon. He's immortal. Most people remember him for his wrestling career because that's kind of what he's defined by. I mean, all the wrestling moments, WrestleMania 3 when he body slammed Andre the Giant, and then all the other, he was main evented 8 WrestleManias, won 6 WWE World Heavyweight Championships, or had 6 title reigns, and had 6 title reigns in WCW as their World Heavyweight Champion because he went over to Ted Turner's promotion in 1994, and he did a great job. I mean, Hogan, remember when he turned to the NWO in that black and white T-shirt and became the bad guy,
Is that
Bash at the Beach?
98?
No, 1996, Bash at the Beach is when he joined the NWO. I mean, that's when he joined the NWO, and then he had that run and went back to WWE, had a great match at WrestleMania 18 with The Rock in Toronto. I mean, he's an incredible wrestler. There's no doubt about it when it came to, he's best at keeping himself on top. He barely ever lost. He didn't put anybody over. He put himself over. He's a great self-promoter. And he hardly ever lost, and that's why Hogan's in the spot that he's in today, and that's why we're still talking about him.
Who are the top 5 all-time pro wrestlers? Can you not in any order? Just give me the top 5.
Jim Londos.
Doug,
Bruno
do you have Jim Londos in your top 5?
I don't think I know who that is.
You just Google it. Spelled Jimlondos. You can go Strangler Lewis. You can go, and it's by different decades. Then we go to the Luthez and the Gorgeous Georges and the Bruno Sammartinos, and then you go to the 80s, it's Flair, it's Hogan, and then the 90s, it's Steve Austin and The Rock. And then you go into the 2000s, it's John Cena, it's Randy Orton, and then you go to Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns. Those are the greatest box office or biggest box office attractions. Bill Longson in the 40s. So the biggest and greatest box office attractions in the history of the sport of professional wrestling.
Holy smokes. That is a deep dive.
We're getting great comments in here. I love this one. Morgan & Morgan doesn't bring this type of heat. Yeah. You got that right, folks.
That's from the player to be named later in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat where 240 friends have gathered to talk it over.
Ed, it's a little dangerous to fixate on what they're saying, though, whether it's a message board or a YouTube chat. It could throw you for a little bit.
Yeah, it's just interacting with the fans. As when you acknowledge that their chats are actually getting to you, you're just acknowledging them. But we appreciate the engagement here on TMA. We always do. It's wonderful It's an absolutely wonderful thing. But yeah, it is one of the greatest, one of the biggest.
Who's the best wrestling guest you could get? Like, who's the whale they call it? If you could just land him on your show.
Now, what is it now? Ric Flair now, because Hogan's passed. You got Flair's. He's only one of the surviving, legendary professional wrestlers left. Yes, you have The Rock, you have John Cena, you have Steve Austin, but from the 80s, it's Ric Flair. Randy Savage is gone. Andre the Giant is gone. Jake Roberts is still alive. Ted DiBiase is still alive, but there are hardly any of them left. Very hard lifestyle. Very hard lifestyle to be a professional wrestler on the road like that, and all those painkillers and somas. It's just not. It's not conducive. And then you spend the rest of your life having to deal with physical mobility problems. It's very hard to be a professional wrestler, and a lot of them, unfortunately, have left our earth far too soon.
Mm-hmm. Who's the next big deal? Who's going to be the next huge
big
megastar?
deal? That could be. There are a lot of guys that could be moved in baseball today, guys.
Not wrestling.
Oh, wrestling.
Although I was kind of open to moving on to baseball, but that's. Doug wants to stay with wrestling.
It looks like the chat would rather the entire show.
Yeah, no.
I've never seen it explode like this.
No. Next big deal in wrestling. I'll tell you that. Okay, there are three guys: Gunther, Braun Breaker, and Jacob Fatu for the men's are going to be the next big deal in the sport of professional wrestling. Those three, and then you look on the women's side. Rhea Ripley's the best women's professional wrestler in the world. You've got up-and-coming stars there, Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez. The future of professional wrestling is extremely bright in the WWE. Then AEW, you've got some up-and-coming star.
My favorite.
MJF and Will Ospreay, and FTR is there, the best tag team in professional wrestling. FTR, the Hurt Syndicate, is there with Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley. There is incredible talent of professional wrestling on all the different companies. There's so much wrestling content to watch. Raw's on every Monday, Dynamite's on every Wednesday, SmackDown's on every Friday, and they got PLEs for both companies every month. So there's a lot of wrestling content for people to consume really on a weekly basis.
Oh, someone wants to know what the best Mick Foley character was, whether it was
actually a good wrestling question. Okay, the best wrestling. I'm serious. No, the best professional wrestling character he drew the most money with, probably Mankind in the WWE. He drew the most money as Mankind, though Cactus Jack is probably more known because he was the hardcore wrestling legend, and Mick Foley was known for his hardcore wrestling style, his incredible bumps, getting thrown off of Hell in a Cell in 1998 over the edge in Pittsburgh when The Undertaker threw him off. He lost his ear in a match with Vader. He had an extremely hardcore style. And then, Mankind, he drew the most money with. That was his main character in the WWE. And then Dude Love, that's kind of the third rung. I don't think Dude Love. I don't think a lot of people remember that he even did Dude Love. And unless you're
Dude Love,
I don't.
Google it. No, he Googled Jim Love.
Listen, I appreciate that he Googled it. No, listen,
Tim,
it's good
Cactus
to learn.
Jack. Is that where Rich Gold and I got hammered when you were at spring training?
I can believe it.
We told you, come on, meet us. We're over at Cactus Jack doing shots. This team's going nowhere.
That's right. Oh, that's a rough go.
I don't want to brag, but my friend in high school lived down the street from Luthez in Glendale.
How about that?
Oh, he had a hammerlock to die for.
Luthez, incredible professional. It's one of the biggest box office attractions in the history of our sport, and he's from right here in St. Louis. Of course, Sam Muchnick. And St. Louis is a completely wrestling, it's one of the most biggest historical cities in professional wrestling history. There's nothing like it.
John Scorch says that Ed is getting Wally pipped. Hey, let me tell you, nothing makes me happier than that.
Yeah,
and now someone says Larry Nichols got Wally.
Well, I was just going to say somebody with their top 5 countries might be at home giving the radio the finger.
Yeah, there was a text earlier from the 618 that said Larry Nichols was sitting in the cuck chair while Brody was schooling the audience on wrestling right now, and I don't know if Larry is on a chair, Doug, or a Davenport, but
I'm
Brody
sure he's
really
just
is
happy that wrestling is being discussed.
Yes, wrestling at the Chase. Somebody referenced that. It's
that
just
Billy Corgan loves wrestling.
Oh God, Billy Corgan! Oh Lord! Oh God!
Hold on, I struck a chord.
Pumpkins, Doug. He's been in the
like
building
Billy
already.
Corgan. I know he's a big professional wrestling fan, but just the NWA could be so much better. It's a dead brand now. Listen, the NWA is not what it used to be, it's just a dead brand. I love Billy Corgan. I wish, but I don't think the NWA brand is going to ever be saved. It just isn't. Nobody cares about the National Wrestling Alliance anymore. I don't even consider them in the top 3. I don't even think they're a top 5 promotion in the world. It's just not a good brand anymore. Sorry, Billy, but the ship has sailed.
It's really awkward since he's the surprise guest at 9 o'clock. Billy Corgan. Yeah.
No, seriously. Oh, goodness me. I was going to say, he's going to come on here and promote his wrestling. Oh,
Have you thought about trying to get a job in the industry somewhere?
He's got one.
You love it so much.
Yeah,
you mean
you never know. You never know. You never know what I'll do in wrestling. It's just an interesting sport. Let's just say that. It's very interesting.
We could probably get you connected to that Tony Khan who runs that AEW.
Yeah. You know I'm going to be at Wrestle Dream. That's another thing. I'm going to be in Wrestle Dream AEW in October. I'll be at Wrestle Dream, Chaffetz Arena. I will be at Wrestle Dream. This is coming to St. Louis. AEW's Wrestle Dream. So I'm looking forward to that. He's going to have an event here in St. Louis, Tony Khan.
Doug, you got a suite for that one?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I'll try to get one if they're still available.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fun. I'm telling you, Wrestle Dream. Hopefully, Ospreay. We want you to get better so I can watch AEW more palatably again. Please get better from your neck injury.
He's my favorite, is that Ospreay. If you haven't seen him wrestle, he's amazing.
He's amazing.
Is that right?
The most athletic wrestler I've seen in 25 years.
Doug, who would you compare him to?
Probably Luthez, since he's one of the only ones that I know.
Yeah,
I got a lot of catching up to do on this topic. I feel like I'm just trying to write all the names down.
Knowledge. The name of the program again, Brody, for the
Wrestling
audience?
on the Spectrum.
Wrestling on the Spectrum.
That's right.
And that's with you.
Tony Patrico and Jeremy Corey.
All right, and it's on KFNS on Saturday.
Never heard of it.
Now we're KLIS.
Yes.
KLIS.
Yes, Tiffany Stratton is one of the other female professional wrestlers that's up and coming, and Paige and Moxley did have a splendid match, is being kind, but yes, they did have a match on TV. Yeah, reading because some of the wrestling.
They can watch it on. It's also with a podcast.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Apple, Spotify, Google, or YouTube. You don't have to tune in on the radio. It's actually better, I think, just to do it on the podcast.
Absolutely.
There you go. There
no
it is,
doubt
Doug.
about it.
Brody, nice knowledge. I tip my cap.
Brought the heat.
Safe travels to Chicago, gentlemen. Enjoy the Cubs and Orioles in the first game back for Ryan Sandberg.
Yeah,
that's right.
The Cubs been quiet in here for a year and a half.
And then he just brought heat. He's a heat bringer. I imagine the tribute that you guys are going to witness to Ryan Sandberg from the Cubs will be something.
I hope it is. Ryan Sandberg.
Sure
were you scheduled to just go to this game?
I was scheduled to go to the game, and it's actually my first trip to Wrigley, which I know is probably shocking to you guys.
Crap,
it's just one of those things that always fell through the cracks for me. And, for me, Ryan Sandberg, his Topps rookie card in 1983 was a big deal. That was in my heavy collecting years. So you always form a connection to those guys.
Yeah.
So like him and Boggs and Gwynn, I'll always associate those 3 players because their rookie cards were all that 83 set.
Sure.
And now we've lost Gwynn and we've lost Sandberg. It's a sad thing to see the people that you watched growing up starting to go. So not to bring the crowd down, but little tribute to Ryan Sandberg.
And what you'll see tomorrow at Wrigley, I'm sure, will be pretty powerful. Sean Dunston, I don't know how many of you guys have heard that.
Sean Dunston, great player from the Cubs, played there in the 80s.
He was a number 1 draft pick.
Right.
Yes.
Well, he called in MLB Network, and he was very emotional. Andre Dawson, I watched his statement.
Mel Hall.
As well.
Yeah,
so I bet that'll be pretty powerful tomorrow at Wrigley. Safe travels.
Thank you,
gentlemen.
guys.
Thank you so much. Brody, nice job bringing heat, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Great job.
Now you can pull this clip and put it up on all of the socials.
Absolutely. Why not? Safe travels, Chicago, guys. Thank you. That's Ed Hermann. Brody Hermann here on TMA. And Doug, you've got a lot of research to do now. You just learned quite a bit.
He said Jim Londos. I'd never heard that name, and no wonder. I see he was born in 1897. We're going back to ancient Greece where this guy was wrestling. I don't know some of these names. Had you ever heard of Jim Londos?
I had not.
No. I'd not heard of many of those names.
Yeah.
But
I was expecting like Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Stone Cold, and The Rock to be named in the Mount Rushmore, and then we went back and we learned about Jim Londos.
Yeah, we went back to 19th century Greece.
Email in the morning after at InsideSTL.com for our design, air, heating, and cooling. Email of the day. You just heard from Ed Hermann of Brown & Crouppen. Brown & Crouppen is the presenting sponsor of this program, has been now for a couple of years. The name of the game and why this show has been around for 21 years is the audience supporting the sponsor. So if you are in a position in which you need a personal injury attorney, support the sponsors and make sure you are doing business with a local law firm, and that is Brown and Crouppen. Online at brownandcrouppen.com or by calling 314-222-2222. They are local. Built brand new offices right down on the hill across from Ragazzi's, and they have been in business in St. Louis since 1979. They know the local ins and outs of the St. Louis area legal environment. brownandcrouppen.com, 314-222-2222. It's Brown and Crouppen. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising. Past results are no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own accord. More Cardinal trade deadline conversation next here on TMA 101 ESPN. What is the music theme here today, Doug?
I can't tell.
Deadline music.
Oh.
You know, moving on.
Like this is playing in Phil Mayton's car right now?
I'd probably play it on the plane ride. Just on a loop.
When you hear this song, Doug, do you think of the trade deadline or do you think of Seinfeld?
I think of the deadline because I know just how emotional that is for these multimillionaires moving on to bigger cities with teams that have a chance.
What are you trying to say? It's TMA 101 ESPN. The show is presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. And you can also watch it at youtube.com/TMASTL. And when you go into that Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, you're going to see Ken Iggy Strode. Looks like he's talking St. Louis area radio.
Oh, is he?
There, yeah, okay. He's talking it over with the Huntley Hot Wife Hunter, Doug. You ever get a chance to meet Triple H?
I have not, no.
Don Peepee is in there, Doug's Fixed Gong, and also the Mississippi Mudshark and Chief Jay Strongblow are talking with Marcus Wilbers and John Scores. So it is an active Michelob Ultra YouTube chat. 256 friends have gathered to talk it over at youtube.com/TMASTL. Trade deadline day. And of course, Ryan Helsley and Steven Matz, they're gone. Phil Mayton, per Derek Gould, told don't even bother going on the flight to San Diego with us. So he will be going at some point over the next 8 hours. The question is, will another player or two or three go? And that is where we get to our updates. John Denton of MLB.com with the story this morning. In his conversation with Nolan Arenado following the game. For those of you just joining us, we talked about this in our 7 o'clock hour, but revisiting it here, Denton says he spoke with Arenado, and he is now admitting that he has some things to consider in the hours before the deadline, with it becoming clear that the Cardinals are going all in on the sell. He said, we'll see. I've got some things to take care of first, Arenado told MLB.com. It'll probably be fine without a trade, but we'll let it play out and see where it goes. Nolan Arenado, that story coming from MLB.com. Doug, you got to bet $100. Nolan Arenado with the Cardinals at 5:01 today.
I'll say yes. I'll say yes, he is.
Martin, what do you think?
I'm sorry. Did you say? I was lost for a second. I zoned out. It's not your fault.
Do you take pot?
Was the question of Arenado's? But I didn't know if you said
it. He just doffed his cap. Doug, he doffed his cap.
He sure did. He liked it himself.
He should.
Will Arenado still be here?
Will he still be here? Yes. I didn't know if you had phrased it whether he'd be traded or whether he'd be staying. And I would say, yes, he'll be here. I just think the market isn't there. And I did get clarification from someone who knows about the dollars. Because if you look at Spotrac or Spotrac, whatever, it does get a little confusing. Arenado next season, $27,000, $6,000 deferred. 27 million.
I was about to say that's a pretty
deal. Yeah, you might as well keep him.
I'm on peyote at this moment. 27 million, 6 million deferred. So 21 million is next year's salary. 15 million in 2027. So he has 36 million over the next 2 years owed to him, just for clarity. But I just don't think there's a market for it.
Is that owed by the Cardinals or the Rockies still chipping in some of that?
This is the last year. I'm glad you asked that, Doug. That's a good question.
Thank you.
This is the last year the Cardinals are getting $5 million from the Rockies to pay Arenado, part of his $32 million salary this year. So this is the final year where the Rockies are sending money. Then you get a lot of deferred money. It gets really convoluted. But salary next year, $21 million. And then $15 million the following season, so 36 still. I just think that's a big number. Even if the Cardinals said we'll pay half, would you pay $18 million to not have to pay 36? If they give you a scrub minor leaguer, I don't. Maybe just for clarity. Yeah.
Yes. Sell.
Joe dropped that 2 weeks ago, didn't he?
He said sell everything that is not nailed down. Yep. Joe Buck.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of nailed down with that no trade clause.
Sheridan Clayton is not happy with you now, Martin. Good Lord, Martin. You get to leave an hour early as it is. Maybe pay attention for the hours that you're there. Sheesh. Bad teammate much? That's Sharon
boy, she lets you have it.
And that's why she's the star, the real housewives at DMA. She'll go after anybody.
I had a little lapse there. I was reading some old texts, and I was also getting that Arenado information, and I apologize. It's like when the teacher calls on you, and you go, oh, crap, what was the question?
It happens to me, too, because I've got a computer. When you've got a computer right in your face, you can't help but read stuff every now and then.
I still have the page on Bubbles and Michael Jackson called up. I need to close some of these tabs.
I still have the page called up from Jim Londas, the wrestler, who once wrestled in front of 100,000 people against Ed Strangler Lewis.
Holy crap. 100,000 people.
It's going to be a
Greece. I still have Keith Law's Twitter handle up where it says, I block snitch taggers.
And we were wondering what that means. Can the audience help us? We're going to crowdsource with the audience. Chairman Kurt's leaning in. You know what that is?
Yeah, it would be like if Keith Law had something nefarious to say about someone and then a random follower were to tag someone else to kind of
Screenshot Bandit?
What's that?
Like a Screenshot Bandit?
It's in the Screenshot Bandit realm.
Kind of like a tattletale almost?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, do you see what Keith Law said?
Which is very...
fan page, and it really pissed me off.
Okay.
That's very
So you called it...
Got it.
What did you call it? I'm on delay. What did you just call it?
Screenshot Bandits. Yeah, they do it to Iggy.
Screenshot Bandits, just like snitch taggers. So, Tim, I think what I need to do, I think Sharon's right. I was being a bad teammate. I'm going to close Keith Law's page. I'm going to say goodbye to Bubbles and Michael Jackson. I'm going to kind of clean this up over here.
You don't have to worry about what you say because no one's listening.
Is that Holiday?
Matt the Bat.
He's on tomorrow.
Like Matt the Bat.
Matt the Bat's on tomorrow, and he can maybe give us some Arenado insight and also talk trade deadline.
Yeah.
You know, the day he was traded to the Cardinals, Holiday went 4 for 5 his first game.
All right.
Like,
is that a home game?
It was in Philly, and some of his equipment didn't arrive, so he was borrowing people's equipment and went 4 for 5.
Let's see. The Cubs are getting Andrew Kittredge from the Orioles. And they're trading a shortstop prospect ranked 17th in their system. So Ed and Brody Hermann will see Andrew Kittredge tomorrow when they visit the north side. And the tweet from Nightingale, and I was going to his Twitter feed to see what the latest was that got our attention right at the beginning of today's show, is the following. The St. Louis Cardinals, who are wide open for business, have several teams, including the Astros and Phillies, expressing interest in the likes of Lars Nootbar, Alec Burleson, and Brendan Donovan. And all I want is the Cardinals to complete the trade deadline, having traded 4 players. So little Jackie Papers Venmos me $20 at 5:01 Central Standard Time.
We
got news?
No.
Trade reference.
Try help me.
Eric Fetty, cash considerations, not a trade. Also prior to this wager.
Yes.
Just for points of clarity.
Yeah, points of order, really.
So
My counsel is reviewing that trade timeline, though.
Maton.
Well, I'm under protest.
Soon to go. Helsley Matz. There's 3. You could really double down on the wager, name the name of number 4. You think it's Tim? You're in on Arenado. You believe this is? I just don't think it's there.
When I say I'm in, I'm operating on the if I got a bet, I believe that I would bet it because I think it's a greater than 51% chance. But because it's greater than 51% chance, it doesn't mean it's 90%. But yeah, I do think that. They'll get something. And I think the fact that Suarez went late last night to the Mariners from the Diamondbacks, that opens the door for a day's worth of discussions for teams that really want an upgrade defensively at third base. The Cardinals and Arenado, I think, really want to get something done. If it doesn't happen, Nolan Arenado is staring down the possibility of remaining in St. Louis for the remainder of his career. Can't be really appealing. When it's crystal clear that the team is not remotely close. So I think he has lost a little bit of leverage, as weird as it might sound, because here's your choice. You can stick around here and watch this operation, but, you can get yourself, and the reality is he's a young man still, but baseball-wise, he's on the 16th hole. He's got an opportunity, if he does, to compete for a championship. I would think that he would go, and it might not to be to one of the cities that he had approved back in December.
And that's what John Denton reported from MLB.com. Talked to Arenado postgame last night. He said that Mozeliak met recently with Arenado to determine whether his list of acceptable trade destinations had expanded. And if I'm Arenado and I'm not happy, even though I'm not hitting, and it's my fault largely that there's no market or much of a market, I think I would expand my list. If the Tigers or a team like that were interested and they're going to be in the playoffs and you want to win, I think you have to say yes. You can't be real picky right now. I mean, his market has dropped off just precipitously.
The fact that he's even talking about it in kind of an open-ended way might lead you to believe that he is strongly considering it now.
When he said,
he didn't just say, no, I'm not going anywhere like Contreras did.
I think the saddest line for both where he is in his career and where the Cardinals are is when Arenado says, it'll probably be fine without a trade, but we'll let it play out and see where it goes. Like, kind of want to leave, but I guess I might be stuck here. That's the reality. But Arenado, just in July alone, he's down to 175. He has 2 RBIs and 2 doubles in the month of July. And, you know, teams are looking at all of that.
Yeah, why wouldn't you? You're not really getting a guy that has proven over the last, almost the entire season that he's really going to come in and help you a whole lot offensively anyway.
He's a family guy, and he doesn't want to move his family. He would rather go to SoCo if he has to go anywhere. I think he truly likes St. Louis, and his family does as well. That's from the 314.
I think he likes St. Louis, but I think he's disappointed in the baseball operation.
Well, he could go to SoCo. He could move to South County somewhere.
And then still play for the Tigers and commute?
Oakville, yeah.
So we get him living in Oakville, but playing in Detroit. So he gets his SoCo.
Mm-hmm.
So he went from the drop-off year of 23, which people kind of noted, wow, he started to drop off, was 26 homers and 93 RBIs. That seems like a million years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Went down to 16 and 71 last year. And right now he's got 10 homers, 43 RBIs. I know those stats don't matter anymore. I should be talking exit velocity, but...
No, they matter. So does hitting 235. That matters too. I mean, that's horrible for someone you're paying that amount to.
I think in the end, it's going to be wear and tear is the story. And he may talk about it when his career's over, that he just kind of got beat up playing third and just wore down.
It matters. It matters.
It does matter.
Oh, Frank.
It does.
Does he ever yell that in the office, Doug, when you guys are working on your sports show?
He does, yes, absolutely. I hear that 2-3 times a day because I'm there most days, sometimes 7 days a week.
Doug is here. His last name is Vaughn.
Journalism.
Paredes is now out for the year for the Astros. I don't know if that changes the revisiting of the conversation from December. Mark Feinsand said that while the Astros are interested in a third baseman, they have not expressed interest in restarting the conversations that they had with the Cardinals. Maybe that changes now. Either way, as much as you can in a situation where it is not official that Phil Maton is going to be on the move over the next 8 hours. I would imagine there will be trades, whether the Cardinals are involved by the time that we are off the air. And the question is, how many more Cardinals will go before 5 p.m. today? We will be monitoring it throughout the course of our broadcast here on the morning after and throughout the day with BK and Ferrario and the Fast Lane. It's 101. ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.
Run into Schnucks, grab your groceries, and you're going to save money. They've been working hard to drop prices, and these are everyday savings. These are not just sales for a day or two. Hurry in. They've tried to mark them down and leave them marked down. While you're shopping, they also have a digital shelf tag where you can see the prices and things that are dropped down. That way they can update them quickly as well. If you've got the Rewards app, they'll let you know things that you often buy, whether there are added savings. They will let you know that. Coupons that are available on top of those everyday everyday savings. Neighborhood Schnooks guarantee there's one near you, doing their best to help you save money when you stock up on groceries. You can also use the Rewards app for delivery and pickup. And when you check out, every time you do, they'll add to your rewards points. You just kind of pile them up. After a while, you got $20 in there, $30, $40. Save it for an entire year. It's unbelievable. The money coming back to you when you shop at your neighborhood Schnooks. These are everyday savings that you can count on.
This is Jackson with a Sports Center update. It's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Cardinals lose last night as the day before the trade deadline. Trade deadline today at 5 p.m. Cardinals back in action tomorrow evening as they take on the San Diego Padres. That'll be an 8:40 p.m. first pitch with Matthew Liberatore scheduled to take the mound on Friday. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
cast your spell.
Mo, Cast Your Spell, the title of this song. The program is The Morning After, and Jackson has found trade deadline theme songs to play.
Yep. It's deadline music.
CMA 101 ESPN, another trade. Shane Bieber going to the Blue Jays. Ken Rosenthal with that. Shane Bieber from the Guardians to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays active, Martin. Here come the Blue Jays.
Wouldn't mind seeing Toronto make a little run. It's been a while.
They're right there. Are they top of the AL East crowdsourcing?
Yes. Yeah, by a comfortable margin, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Considering where they were early in the season.
Yeah, four up on the Yanks.
Yeah.
They're the team with all the suns.
When they came here to play the Cardinals early in the year, they looked like a really good team to me. They had
Alejandro Kirk looking like prime Mickey Mantle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got some hitters.
That's when I declared the season over when they lost that Monday game to the Blue Jays.
Is that the one Helsley gave up the home run to a guy who had 2 hits in his whole career?
Bad loss.
Cardinals are now actually 5.5 back. I mean, I realize nobody's really paying attention to this, but 5.5 back of the third wild card spot, and just as actually closer to the Arizona Diamondbacks, who made the biggest move to date, with Suarez going to the Mariners late last night, than they are to the Padres, who are now 60-49 after they have rattled off 5 straight following losing the first 2 of the 4-game series in St. Louis.
Do you think the Cardinals are actually in worse shape now than the Pirates? Because the Pirates have got some really good young pitching. They got O'Neal Cruz, who looks like he could be a star. They've got some pretty good young players. Obviously, they've had a rough year, but I just wonder if the Pirates are in a better position to be better before the Cardinals will be.
It's funny you mentioned it, Doug. They've won 5 in a row, 8 of their last 9. Nobody is playing better than the Pirates currently in baseball.
Well, it's a pretty good foundation to build on when you got 2 or 3 really good young starting pitchers. And that's what the Pirates have, and that's what the Cardinals don't have.
Yeah, but we've seen this movie before with the Pirates. They've had great pitching in there.
Yeah. Can they afford them once they hit the arbitration?
Right. And what are they interested in actually doing? Like, what's their goal?
Well, I'm sure they'd love to put a team together that's so good that the fans show up and they can maybe keep some of these guys.
Yeah.
They don't want to lose.
Doesn't seem like they want to win.
I think what's for certain is the Brewers are a better franchise than you are. And not just this season, but just the last handful of seasons. The Cubs are in a better spot than you are. So there's 2 teams in your division that you're chasing. And then potentially the Reds, who are better than you right now, have some young players. They've got Francona. So if you're being honest and you look around and say, man, forget the Pirates. Hopefully we're not the worst team, but we're probably the 4th best team in the division.
It is going to be a while. And it's a tough conversation. It's one that people don't want to hear. The great news is I'm not running for office until 2028, so I don't mind irritating you by having a conversation that isn't popular. But you're exactly right. The organization is in a spot where you have a fan base that is alienated, despondent, turned off, feeling like they have not experienced reciprocation of their emotional and financial investment. You have something that is not in the franchise's control on the horizon with the work stoppage after the 2026 season. You have a significant decline in attendance to the point that the Cardinals are advertising Cubs tickets with dynamic pricing on Instagram. I mean, holy crap. Like you said earlier, Martin, did you ever think you'd see that day? And they're not going to be in a spot where this thing is going to turn around really quickly. And that's the reality in St. Louis. Not good.
Yeah. I guess the only example you could hang your hat on is Arizona, who lost, 102 games one year and was in the World Series the next. So it is possible to turn it around in a hurry, and maybe Chaim Bloom has some magic tricks up his sleeve. He better, because it would really be a bummer around here if the Cardinals are bad for 5 years or so. It'd really be awful.
Speaking to the Pirates, by the way, a player that I think was kind of in the Helsley camp of it's a lock that he is going to be traded. The Pirates are now not likely anyway, per Ken Rosenthal, trading Mitch Keller. Certainly not the highlight of the Pirates' rotation with Skeens in there, but barring a dramatic shift today, the Pirates are likely to keep right-hander Mitch Keller. According to Major League sources briefed on their discussions, a trade of Keller represents perhaps the Pirates' best chance to acquire impact offensive talent. But The Athletic reported on Friday that the Pirates were torn on moving Keller, who's just in the second year of a 5-year, $77 million contract. An executive from a team interested in Keller, granted anonymity for his candor, said his team, quote, has not even bothered continuing its pursuit of the pitcher, citing the Pirates' reluctance to seriously engage. So the Pirates are looking to hold on to Keller because of what you were just citing. They might be in a position where they are close and to step back, even though they certainly could use some offensive assistance, would be one that they don't want to make.
If you're going to build quickly, it seems like it'd be easier to put together 3 or 4 really good starting pitchers and try to be competitive that way than an entire lineup. The Pirates have scored the fewest runs in the major leagues, but they've also given up the fewest runs in the National League Central. Their pitching's been better than the Brewers and the Cubs and the Reds and the Cardinals, all of them. It's kind of surprising that they're as bad as they are.
I've mentioned this before. Andy Bennis' son, I think it's Drew, is the AAA pitching coach, I want to say, for the Pirates. And he's been telling me the last couple of years, watch out, the Pirates got some great pitching coming. They've got great pitching coming. The question is, can they hold on to it? But apparently they do have a pipeline. And in theory, even if you didn't keep them all, you could use them as pieces to get more talent. The Cardinals' problem right now is the major league roster is blah, but then the minor league system is also... You know, like the Mets, as they make all these trades, do you think they care? Do you think Steve Cohen cares about these prospects? No. If they have holes to fill in the next few years, they'll just go out and buy them. He didn't care. They'll always be able to shop and spend money, so they can trade off as many prospects as they want and still replace them later with money.
It has been easier for the Pirates to collect top prospects because they draft at the front of the draft every year, and the Cardinals have been deeper. But nobody wins much without good pitching. You almost always have to have good, solid starting pitching to be a contender.
I would imagine we will see at least a couple of more trades before we are off the air. The trade deadline is at 5 p.m. today, and 101 ESPN will have coverage of it throughout the day on our program. We have the surprise guest coming up here in 7 minutes. And, Doug, do you feel like you're hot on the trail of who the surprise guest is?
No, I have no idea.
The Stiefel dossier is confused. Jackson, on a 1 to 10 scale, where would you rate this guest?
Wow.
Prominent. Let's do it this way. Prominence.
9 out of 10?
Yeah, at least.
I gotta think Ella Reese, right?
And you're not even telling us if it's in the sporting world.
No, it's sporting
in the
world.
sporting world.
It's not sporting KC related.
Right. But Ella Reese is sporting, so live. You have to say live.
And then somebody asked if it's the Rams equipment manager from 2001. It is not.
Why would that be a question?
And they said there was somebody saying that Martin will have Rich Gould again, Keith Kachuk again.
That'd be nice.
Well, I wouldn't mind it. Big Wald, in fact, owes us a call.
Where are you, Walter?
I'm about to get sideways with him.
Where are you, Walter?
But he is not the surprise guest.
So prominence 9. Prominence locally or prominence nationally?
Both.
Yes.
Wow. Both. Huh.
I think we're giving it away.
Yeah, I know. I'm pumping the brakes. I'm not letting Doug control this narrative.
It's Jason Tatum.
We're in charge of this.
It's Jason Tatum.
Jackson would be at full mast. That's not possible.
Hey, when it was Chris Long, I didn't tell Jackaroo, and he almost fell out of his chair.
I was so fired up.
Okay.
Can you call back in?
All right.
Can we see Long back on soon?
I'll tell him. Jackson
needs to hear from you again, Chris.
Okay.
All right, that's coming up at 9 o'clock. Got the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today. Martin, you're a Design Air guy through and through.
Love Design Air because you can count on them to get the furnace in the winter working again, air conditioning unit fixed during the summertime. But beyond that, once they fix it, they stand behind their work. And you know that because they've been around for more than a century. So it's a company you can count on this week, next year, and they do a great job. The employees love working there. That's another element I like looking at with companies. Employee satisfaction has been voted one of the best places to work. So Seth Goldcamp not only is a great team, but they treat their team well. And that means when you get their service, you'll see what it's all about. Design Air will not upsell you. They'll get the repair done. Whatever needs to be fixed, they'll let you know up front. We've had a lot of great feedback from the listeners with their own stories. not being upsold as compared to other companies who tried to sell them something they didn't need. DesignairService.com, that's the website. You can get that appointment scheduled. Even if you think the unit isn't working properly and you just want a little check, a little tune-up, go to DesignairService.com. Longest running sponsor of TMA, it is Design Air Service.
Email in the morning after at Inside STL for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. Surprise guest on 9, both locally and nationally.
Okay.
Coming up on the other side of the break. This is TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Now, what, if anything, that ball contains, we don't know. This is an adventure you and I are going to be taking together.
You've got a big surprise coming to you.
Tim, you like open phone lines, don't you? You and Doug like, and you like a good guessing game. That's how this was sort of launched here on the big program. The caller is online. That's all I've been told is we have a caller on the line who wanted to chime in. Welcome, caller.
Hi.
Oh, Doug,
Okay.
does that
What
help
kind of
at all?
voice was that?
Does that, boy, it sounds like Elmo, but I don't
Need a
think
little
it
more
is.
to go on than
Okay,
that.
well, Doug, what questions do you have?
Who are you? Would that,
Oh,
would that
no,
be
that's
too
a-
obvious?
that's too obvious.
Okay, all right.
Ruins it. What industry are you in, surprise guest?
Entertainment.
Entertainment.
Jackson, are you?
Want me to say it?
No, no. I'm saying, how amazed are you?
This is pretty
at
impressive.
what's
This is in terms of
transpiring?
like deceiving.
Shock value to
yes,
us.
Yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Are you from the St. Louis area?
Sometimes.
Huh. Sometimes. Dirk. He's from here sometimes.
Okay. Tim, what do you got? You're good. You like to put somebody
I
on the
do.
witness stand. Tim, what do you got?
Are you in sports entertainment?
Wow. Sports entertainment.
Sports entertainment. Isn't that wrestling?
Would that be wrestling? Is this Randy
think it
Orton?
would be.
Randy Orton?
Okay.
No, it's not. Okay.
I have to tell you, Jackson and I are in on this, and we are in shock at the confusion that this has created.
He's in sports entertainment, sometimes from St. Louis.
Yeah.
Does that mean wrestling? You're in wrestling?
Oh, my God, wrestling.
Once or twice, but not really.
Once or twice in wrestling.
Really?
Okay, and
He's
this
made
is,
an appearance
this is
there.
not Elmo.
No, it could be Trump. It could be Mike Tyson.
Wow. Have you ever lived in St. Louis?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Definitely not Trump, damn it.
Oh,
Oh, wow. Doug.
gosh.
Doug's going to get sideways.
Uh-oh. Somebody thinks it's a drunk So Taguchi. It is not. It is not. Tim, do you want to fire any bullets? Do you need a little more?
God, yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying the guessing game and how confused, because this is the longest it's taken for us to.
This is
It's the hardest kind of cover of it, I've ever seen, which is great.
It's not Zipper Zeppa. That was a guest on the text line. But did you know Zipper Zeppa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you ever in the same building as Doug Vaughn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
Working in the same building as Doug Vaughn.
Okay.
That doesn't narrow it down, does it? It's
No,
not Steve
but-
Schiff. It's not Julius Hunter. It's
No.
not Larry Connors,
I
previous
wouldn't
guest.
think so. I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Gosh. Are you like over 40?
Sadly, yes.
Oh.
Sadly, yes. Multiple award-winning shows on. Have you been on network television for more than 40 years?
Mm-hmm.
More than
Wow.
40 years?
Wow.
Network television, yeah.
Network television for more than 40 years?
And I feel like, was your phone ringing a lot when the Sandberg game was brought up this week?
Mm-hmm.
St. Louis, worked in the same building as Doug. Network television. I think it's The Voice. Are the initials BC?
Bob Costas?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Did that throw you idiots for a loop?
Bob, the voice is phenomenal.
You guys should have gotten this about halfway through. I mean, there were a lot of pretty obvious clues. Now, since you guys have sports backgrounds, none of you are as old as I am, but do you remember a show hosted by Dick Enberg, like in the 70s, early 80s?
It Takes Two.
It Takes Two was not hosted by Dick Enberg.
Vin Scully.
Vin Scully voiced it over. He didn't host it.
Okay.
He voiced it over. Anyway, you're getting me sidetracked here. Stop
Sorry.
that. So Dick Enberg hosted Sports Challenge, and there would be panels of 3 contestants from legendary teams. So like the Boston Celtics, it'd be Bob Cousy, Bill Russell, and John Havlicek. And the Yankees, it'd be Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and Whitey Ford, let's say. Okay. And the premise was because they asked them a bunch of questions, and then at the end, there was a mystery guest who was seen only in silhouette, and they counted down from 60 seconds. And the quicker you got it, let's say if you got it at 55, you get 55 points. But the clues proceeded from the most obscure to the most obvious. The Yankees were behind by 50 points, so they had to get it like in the first 10 seconds. All right, so the silhouette is up. Enberg pulls out the card and begins to read the clues. And he goes, "This Triple Crown winner, bing, bing, bing." And Mickey Mantle says, "Secretariat." It's a silhouette of a human being. It's not a freaking horse. It was Frank Robinson who won the Triple Crown in 1966.
That's outstanding.
I have to say, I never knew Bob did voices before.
Oh.
That's the first time I've ever done that voice.
Is that right? It had kind of like you could. Did you ever appear on the Muppets in a cameo? And I'm being serious.
You know, I just thought, again, this is a generational thing, but what's my line or I've got a secret? Yeah. The person would come out. And, Bennett Cerf and Kitty Carlisle would be blindfolded.
Peggy
the person
Cass.
would sign in. But they were all yes or no questions for the most part. You guys asked questions that had to be more fully answered, and I'm shocked it took you that long.
Oh, yeah. Very disappointed in my panel here. But I have to say, there's always kind of a reason we'll have somebody on. Like John Hamm was on, but he also was in the wake of the Blues season. He loves talking hockey. So there's kind of a theme. The whole idea of the surprise guest, I would say, on this show, loosely based with Bob on his later program one time, and we've done a whole podcast talking about interview subjects and interview styles, but Bob had Larry King, and they would try and stump the other one as great interviewers. Who could you bring out? And so Larry King tries to stump Bob. Like, he has no idea who's coming through the door, the curtain, and it was either Cuomo or Pataki. It was, and Bob...
It was Mario Cuomo.
Okay, and Bob immediately says, "Oh, wow, the governor of New York. Governor, how are you? What are we going to do about the state taxes?" Or whatever. Easily goes through the interview. Now it's Bob's turn. He brings out Meatloaf, and Larry King clearly has no clue. And so he's trying to help him along or something, and then Larry's like, "Is it Mr. Loaf? Do you go by just has no clue where to go with it?" And that's loosely how this all began. Am I telling that story? Is that story somewhat correct?
Yeah, Larry was on a previous installment of Later, and toward the end of the show, his thing was, "I can interview anybody. I don't need to be prepared. I can interview anybody off the top of my head." He says, "Here's the difference between me and Ted Koppel. Ted Koppel and I both arrive at a fire. Ted Koppel says, 'How did this fire start?' I say to the fireman, 'What made you want to be a fireman?' That's the difference between me and Ted Koppel." So I said, "Look, if you say you can interview anybody, why don't we do this? You bring somebody for me to interview. I don't know who it is. No preparation whatsoever. They come out from behind the wall. I'll do the same thing for you." So like a month later, it all comes together. And he really tossed me a batting practice fastball when he brought Mario Cuomo out. That was easy enough. When Meatloaf came around the corner, the look on Larry King's face, it wasn't just, "I don't know anything about this guy. I have no idea who he is." And it took him about 10 questions just to establish that Meatloaf was a singer of some kind, and et cetera, et cetera. But the money quote was, as you said, Martin, "Shall I refer to you as Meat or Mr. Loaf?"
Maybe did Meatloaf disguise his voice in a high-pitched Elmo tone? Maybe that's what it was.
No, everyone could see everyone in this particular thing.
Bob Costas is a man who needs no introduction unless he has a really strange voice, and then we have to clearly reveal it to both him and the audience.
I think this is a 10. I mean, we were trying to gauge who the surprise guest was, Bob. Doug and I were. And I asked Jackson, our producer, I said, on a scale of 1 to 10. And he said a 9. And I have to tell you, I think that's underselling it. Maybe that's one of the reasons why.
Trying to throw you for a loop.
Yeah, well done. It threw us off.
By the way, and you never know, stuff pops up on YouTube, the algorithm figures out what you're interested in. So I'm not sure when this happened. It had to be fairly recently. I saw Doug going one-on-one, or whatever they call that speed round, with Frank Cusimano.
Yes.
I have never seen a more self-deprecating human being than Doug Vaughn. He wasn't just not trumpeting his achievements. He was apologizing for ever having appeared on television.
Wasn't much of a career, really.
But it lasted a while.
Yes, it did.
He must have been doing something right.
Well, I didn't make much money. That was the key.
I believe Frank's question, and of course it's rapid fire, and as Bob knows, no hedging. And he said, what do you think people are thinking, Doug? And Doug said, well, we're glad you're gone.
Right. That was the big payoff.
I found out early in my career, if you make so little money that it doesn't really affect the bottom line of the business, they probably won't fire you.
They just kind of stay below the radar?
Yeah, we can let him go. We don't care he's bad.
Well, that definitely worked for me way back when in 1974 when I was being interviewed at KMOX. I'm 22 years old. I look like I'm 15. I think there's no chance whatsoever to get this job. And Mr. Hyland says, what are you thinking of in terms of a salary? And I say, whatever you want to pay me. And he says, $11,000, which was not just to call the Spirits games, but to work 365 days, in theory, at KMOX. And my answer was, Mr. Hyland, if I had $11,000, I'd pay you for the job. I think that helped a lot to get me hired.
I'm going to guess your negotiating tactics changed over the years.
Somewhat, yes.
There's something to be said for that, though. I mean, when you're fighting to get in the door, I mean, there's something to be said for that. In that very same building, when I was trying to get to KMOV, I said, I'd take this job for anything. It's my hometown. I'd love to do it. I was 23 at the time. There's something to be said. It's amazing to me, Bob, that Bob Hyland was the one who handled the interview, and maybe that was standard at that time. But I mean, I don't think that's the way that it would work in 2025.
No, but Mr. Hyland ruled over everything. It was a benign kingship, sort of, for Mr. Hyland, to whom I owe a great deal. Jack Buck was part of the interview, but Mr. Hyland really directed it. And the only exchange I remember with Buck was, how old are you, kid? And I said, 22. And he goes, I have ties older than you. It made me feel right at home.
How did they find you originally? Did you just send them a tape right out of the blue?
Well, I apologize if people have heard this story before, but as it happens, my one-time roommate at Syracuse University, Roger Holstein, who parenthetically later went on to start WebMD. So Roger's in real good shape now. So anyway, he had grown up in Shaker Heights, Ohio, and was a second cousin or something of Harry Weltman, who was the president of the Spirits. So the team was the Carolina Cougars. They moved to St. Louis. They're just setting up shop. And Roger calls me and says, I'm just doing a few years with the Spirits. Turned out to be only 2 years before they folded. It's a lark for me, but I love basketball, as you know. And so I'm here working in some capacity with the Spirits. They don't have an announcer yet. Why don't you send a tape? And I say, Roger, it's KMOX. They're not going to hire me. Just send the tape. So I searched for something, and I found something that I'd done on a campus radio station when I was 20 years old, a game between Syracuse and Rutgers. And it was pretty good, but I took the precaution of having an engineer friend of mine re-record it with the treble down and the bass up just slightly, so I sounded a little older and a little more authoritative. And then I edited out any choppy parts and just made it seem sequential. Syracuse with the ball, Rutgers with the ball. If we had to remove a reference to the score, we did that. And I put together like a 10-minute tape that sounded pretty good. And I thought I had zero chance. And I sent it off to KMOX and to the team. And I guess that between the team and Jack Buck and whomever at KMOX, they whittled it down to 4 or 5 finalists. And they flew me in to St. Louis. And I was just in awe of the whole thing. And I've told this story before, but I was just convinced. Talk about self-deprecating, Doug. I'm in your category here. I think there's no chance whatsoever. At least I got to meet Jack Buck, and this is fantastic, and maybe it'll help me somewhere down the line. But I'm thinking there's no way I'm coming back, so I better go to Stan Musial's restaurant because who knows when I'll be in St. Louis again. I'd never set foot in St. Louis to that point. And so I have like a burger and a soda, and it's 1974. Maybe the bill's $10. And I leave 3 singles, a quarter, a nickel, and a penny as the tip, which I'm sure confused the waiter, but it was an homage to Stan's lifetime batting average of .331.
Nice. Wow.
And then you got the job. Do you know why, Bob? Because the other guy asked for 11.5. Otherwise, none of this.
How audacious.
None of this happens. The thing about now this idea, I think these guys don't understand. In the surprise guest category, I always have some in the hopper that I'm kind of thinking about. You guys will mention somebody. I'm like, oh, that would be good. But I'll throw a bullet. I'm like, I think Bob likes, because those show, whose line is it, or To Tell the Truth, those old school shows where you had to guess. I said, I think he would go for this. But occasionally I'll text him an idea. So during COVID, I was scrambling for ideas, and I had this thought that I would get Dan Deerdorf and Bob Costas together on a Zoom, and the whole theme was about those two doing radio together and how it took off, and they would go on stadium tours and talk about the brats in Milwaukee and the secret sauce and whatnot. I said they're just about how you two both became network stars by doing like a call-in show at first. And Bob wrote back and said, Martin, I like you, and I love Dan. I have zero interest in this. And so I said, well, had to take a shot. It's COVID, and here I am. But it really wasn't you and Dan on nightly KMOX radio, and then all of a sudden you guys are both network stars.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the reason. I'm not sure how Dan had his first opportunity at, I guess, ABC first, Monday Night Football, and then he was with CBS. I may have the sequence wrong. But being at KMOX definitely helped me, because a number of KMOX stars through the years became network sportscasters. And in 1976, barely a week before the football season was to start, the young Al Michaels left CBS. No one even remembers that he was at CBS for an eye blink, and he signed with ABC. And he was assigned to do the 49ers at the Packers on the opening weekend. And they didn't have anybody to do the game. So CBS in New York calls Bob Hyland, because so often KMOX had been a feeder system for the networks. And Dan Kelly and Jack Buck already had football assignments that weekend, and Bob Starr did the Cardinals on the radio, one of the greatest radio football announcers ever. So they're all booked up, and Hyland says, well, I got this kid here. He's pretty good. He's 24. He looks younger than that. They said, send him to New York. So I flew to New York. They looked me over, and they signed me to a one-game contract for $500. And I went to Green Bay. Jay Randolph showed me how to make a scouting board, because I'd never called any football since I did a handful of games on a campus station when I was at Syracuse. And I guess that went pretty well for me. And then CBS began to use me on regional games for the next few years, and then someone at NBC took notice, and I wound up there.
And were you the play-by-play guy? Like, one year, Joe Buck was like the analyst from Mizzou basketball. If you look at it, Rooney, Costas, Joe Buck, Kevin Harlan, that all did at some point Mizzou basketball. I'm assuming you would have been play-by-play. I think Joe did like analyst. It's a strange list, but Bob, how many years on Mizzou?
Well, after the Spirits folded, then Mr. Hyland assigned me to Mizzou, so that would have been the 76-77 season until the early 80s. And then I had a fuller schedule at NBC, so I missed out on not the entirety of it, but some of that Steve Stepanovich, John Sunvold team that nearly went to the Final Four. And speaking of Mizzou announcers, John Sunvold, who does a lot of Mizzou games on television, is fantastic. He's better than most people who are on national TV.
You think it's still possible today for someone as young as you were to make it so big so quickly?
Well, Noah Eagle is an example. He's Ian Eagle's son, obviously. He's his mini-me. It's scary how much they look like each other. And he's part of that now long line of sportscasters who come out of Syracuse University. His dad went there, and, it's Sportscaster U. And he's going to be the second announcer on the NBA when it comes back to NBC this year. Tirico will be the lead announcer, and Noah will do a lot of games as the second guy. He did the Olympic basketball in Paris this past summer, and he's done a lot of Big Ten football and even some postseason games for, I guess NBC, I don't know, CBS, maybe. I'm getting confused here. But he's a prodigy. He's in his mid-20s, and he is the best play-by-play announcer in his mid-20s that I have heard since Joe Buck in the mid-90s.
How about that? That's quite the endorsement right there. Bob Costas, our surprise guest here on 101 ESPN. The program is TMA. Tim McKernan, Doug Vaughn, Martin Kilcoyne with you on the show. Bob, I am curious your perspective on the state of things with the Cardinals. I know you're, of course, not monitoring them as closely as you were back when you were hosting those shows on KMOX, but perhaps the state of the attendance and the state of the apathy in this market would be equivalent to what you may have seen in the 1970s. I haven't seen anything like this where fans are either apathetic or angry at the organization. What is your opinion?
Yeah, I think that's a good comp to the 1970s when things felt flat until Whitey Herzog came along and energized everything. And those teams in the 80s not only were successful going to the World Series 3 times, but they were so distinctive and so exciting to watch. And then the La Russa teams came along, and there was never a period of time when you felt as if the Cardinals weren't contenders. Now there's something, again, it feels a little flat. I guess the announced attendance may be larger some nights than the actual number of bodies in seats. You guys would know this better than I, but I think there's been a very long run of seasons where the Cardinals have drawn more than 3 million fans. And this year there's a significant fall-off. I think that Cardinal fans, and I've got a pretty good national perspective on this, what differentiates Cardinal fans as a group is that they're passionate, they're knowledgeable, but they're generally good-natured and civil. You don't get as much of the mean-spiritedness as you find in some other places. But I think their patience is being worn thin because they're used to not only competitive teams, but they're used to teams that they feel good about following, where there's some kind of identity and some kind of verve to it, and some of that has been lost. And obviously when they trade Ryan Helsley, they've, in effect, at least to much of the fan base, waved the white flag on this season.
Bob, I had a Cooperstown question. This is a theory I had, and I have a lot of ideas, and I had all good ideas, as I found out by texting you in the past. But a Cooperstown Sunday, it's a beautiful ceremony, beautiful event, but there's so much baseball going on. What do you think about the idea of having, like, Sunday night baseball in Cooperstown? They used to have a game there every year. So it's a Major League game Sunday night. It's on ESPN or wherever. And then Monday, no Major League games, and the ceremony is in the evening, televised, MLB Network, whatnot. And it's just a whole day celebration of the Hall of Fame. I just feel like sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle in that Sunday cycle with all the baseball going on.
That is an excellent idea. Does that make up for my
now we're back on
ideas?
Look at that.
We're back on
That is
board.
an excellent idea, although if you've ever been to Doubleday Field, it's like 250 feet to the left center field fence. You could get a 22-23 game.
Well, I do like offense, but maybe maybe scratch that part of it. But I do think, I mean, the speeches are great, and it's a wonderful setting, and these guys spend their whole life to get there. As you know, you're in Cooperstown. I just think in the baseball world, it'd be nice, I think, if it had the whole stage, and they have more off days now than they used to during the season. Anyway, just if you see Manfred, if you would, just pass it along.
I think it's a darn good idea.
I really do as well. Hey, Bob, I'm curious about this. Is kind of a big picture question on your career. I guess it would be within the last decade. Maybe you would say it goes back more than that. But it strikes me that you've made a conscious decision to opine on topics that oftentimes sportscasters will either be told they need to stay away from or just decide to stay away from. And you have been comfortable going into those arenas, recently talking about the shooting in New York City and CTE and the NFL, but it certainly goes beyond that. What was the impetus for going into those areas that go beyond sports?
Well, I think my role was often different than other sports broadcasters. But one thing I have to emphasize, a lot of times a notion gets out there, it gets repeated, and it has no factual basis. During a game that I was calling, I never brought politics into it. The people who say, I tune in to watch the game and get away from that, no matter what my political leaning is, you don't do it during the game. You don't do it if you're the host of the Olympics when Michael Phelps is about to jump into the pool or Usain Bolt is about to bolt out of the blocks. But there are times, if you're the host, There are times when there is a period of time set aside. How can you possibly host an Olympics with even the slightest awareness and not be aware that politics have historically and right up to the present day intersected with the Olympics? And so if I was interviewing the president of the IOC, I would ask him questions like, how comfortable are you with the Olympic flame burning over Vladimir Putin's Russia? Or why would you be coming back to Beijing for a second time when the Olympic ideals would appear to be diametrically opposed to one of the greatest human rights violators on the planet? I think those are cogent questions to ask. And there are programs like Real Sports with Brian Gumbel or the programs that I had on HBO that are separate from the games themselves, and they delve into the issues in and around sports. When the Jerry Sandusky situation happened at Penn State, NBC News called upon me to do the interview because they knew I'd be familiar with the sports aspect, but that I also had a background in journalism, and I just felt that there were times when that was appropriate. There were more than 100 halftime essays on Sunday Night Football. Contrary to whatever straw man notion people want to put out there, exactly two, had a political slant, and they both intersected with the NFL. One was the controversy over the Redskins team name, and the other was the gun culture essay in the immediate aftermath of Jovan Belcher of the Chiefs murdering his fiancee and then committing suicide. Now, the first one, chronologically the first one, the gun thing, I regret the way I presented it, because it allowed for my intention to be misrepresented, and it's misrepresented to this very day. It wasn't a gun control essay. It was about a gun culture in sports and in the country itself, which often makes the gun the first option rather than the last option as a matter of self-defense. Now, it just so happened that Chris Cuomo, who's a friend of mine, had asked me to be on his show, and I said, okay, I'll be on, and then this week, the situation in New York with the guy claiming that he had a grudge against the NFL because of his supposed CTE. We'll see what happens. He shot himself in the chest so that his brain could be examined. And so that question came up. It wasn't like I marched into a studio and said, excuse me, I have something to say here. That question came up, and I think I gave a very measured answer to it. Now, there have been other occasions. Like I happened to be on Bill Maher a year and a half ago when Robert Herr's report about Joe Biden and whether or not he could be held to account for one thing or another. And Herr's bottom line conclusion was he would only come across in front of a jury as a well-meaning but confused old man. And at that point, I just happened to be there on the show, but it was that day. So I said something that should have been obvious to a lot of people, including a lot of people who are newscasters for a living. Joe Biden is no longer fit to be president, let alone run to be president. And I said that in February of 2024. It was months later when that became painfully obvious during the debate. Now, I'm an American citizen. You know, whatever the title is, what you say should be judged on the merits of what you say. If you're watching a town hall and some guy who identifies himself as a truck driver stands up in Omaha, Nebraska, and asks a cogent question, do you say, disregard that, he's just a truck driver? What matters is the merit of what you have to say. And I'll conclude this by saying this. Anyone who's followed me for a long time, and it's more than 50 years since I first showed up at KMOX, I never said a negative word about any politician, any presidential candidate. Whether I voted for them or not, I had respect and in some cases admiration for all of them. Contrary, again, to straw man arguments, I'm not an extreme left-wing guy. I'm kind of a centrist. I guess I could be called a classic liberal, but they don't exist anymore. You become a liberal when you're in college in the 1970s and you're in favor of civil rights and women's rights and you think we should get out of Vietnam. That was then. Now, I think a lot of what are the Democrats' positions are feckless or wrongheaded, and that accounts in some part for why Donald Trump is back in the White House. It may explain it, but it doesn't justify it. Donald Trump is in a category all his own. Every politician is to some extent flawed. Even the greatest, the guys who are on Mount Rushmore, had opponents and disagreements, and they had personal flaws because they're humans. But Donald Trump is in a category all his own. And I think speaking out about him when the circumstances call for it is a moral question, not a political question. Even if people may agree with some of Donald Trump's policies or stated policies, there is no justifying Donald Trump as a person. There's no justifying his character. And his character is not confined to mere personal flaws, because it plays itself out in policy. It plays itself out in him trying to overturn the 2020 election. It plays itself out in the cruelty of the way his immigration policies are being enforced. No sane person thinks we could have sustained Biden's policy at the border. Trump was right about that. But alligator Alcatraz, ripping little kids away from their parents, you know, having people march through a park filled with kids in combat gear, what's that about? A lot of what Trump is about, and not to mention the fact that he's the greatest grifter in the history of the presidency, and he does it in plain sight. He's turned the presidency into his personal piggy bank. You know, all of us are flawed, and then there are some people that are just reprehensible, and Donald Trump is one of them. And to say that is not Trump derangement syndrome. Not to see it is the true Trump derangement syndrome. And the last time it came up, and then I'll conclude this soliloquy, but you asked me, so I'm trying to answer it in a full and honest way. Everything is taken out of context now. In theory, this conversation will be almost certainly connected to something that winds up online with a clickbait headline. About a month ago, I received an award from Syracuse University in front of a group of maybe 400 people. It's a journalism award, so everybody there is either a journalist or is connected in some way to journalism. So after making a few, I hope, humorous remarks and expressing my appreciation for the award and sports-related comments, it seemed especially appropriate in front of that group at that time to note that among his many other objectionable actions, Donald Trump was waging a full-out war on the free press, and that corporate America was, at least in some circumstances, bending the knee to him. ABC and CBS already paid ransoms to him in cases where if they actually went to court, Trump's case would have been laughed out of court. But CBS wants to effect a merger, which Trump's FCC could stand in the way of. So what the hell? We'll throw 60 Minutes under the bus. And what difference does it make if we pay Donald Trump $15 or $20 million when there's billions of dollars at stake in the merger? So it seemed to me to be an appropriate place to talk about that in front of those journalists. And what I said was interrupted several times by applause and ended with a standing ovation. Someone in the back of the room, because this is the world we live in, holds up her cell phone and records like the last few minutes of it, and it winds up online. Interesting. This is a group of journalists. I'm right there in the room. I'm an approachable guy. The person who I've never met to this point didn't come up to me and say, let's clarify, let's talk about this. What do you mean? No, I got what I need. Boom, here's the content. Put it online. Then everybody talks about it. Not everybody, but several people talk about it in various places, completely out of context. So it's not like I'm running around gratuitously doing this stuff. I didn't show up with you guys today thinking I was going to talk about it, but you asked me, and there it is.
You thought this would be about Kitty Carlisle, didn't you?
I did. I thought I was going into a very safe zone.
Is that why you had sort of a Paul Lynn homage to open the show? But slightly related, the only thing I would say is I'm curious, over the years, whether it's NBC, Dick Ebersol, they were owned by General Electric. Yep. You have friends at the NFL. What's the worst blowback you ever got, or reprimanded or called to lunch? Come on downtown, Bob. We got to talk. Any blowback over the years, or anything that made you take pause, or any criticism from a colleague that stung?
I don't recall any criticism like you're wrong. I recall some like within sports, you're making us uncomfortable with this, like talking about CTE in football, but again, not gratuitously and not during the game, only at appropriate times. And I think sometimes people confuse something you said on HBO or something you were asked about on CNN. There's not a game going on at that time. There were times at the Olympics when, let's say, I'm interviewing the president of the IOC, and I'm asking follow-ups, and somebody higher up might have thought, that's a little too tough. That makes us uncomfortable. And so then we get into a back and forth about, I want the third question in there. No, we're going to edit it after the second question. But the third question's important. No, we don't think so. Well, I'm going to lose those. But from my conscience, I'm at least going to make my point.
Tim, from his list of accomplishments, all those awards, Sportscaster of the Year, host of Costas Coast to Coast, NBC duties, MLB Network. Now he can add surprise guest
that's
on
gotta be huge.
TMA.
This is a big one.
This is going to be, I don't know, you can rank them yourself later if you'd like, Bob.
By the way, when you mentioned Paul Lynde, there's a whole bunch of Paul Lynde stuff from Hollywood Squares knocking around on YouTube. And I know that they give him the questions in advance so he could think about responses. But his responses were just incredibly great, just incredibly great. And I was on Hollywood Squares once, but it was after Peter Marshall had left. John Davidson was the host, and all the regulars that made the show classic, including Paul Lynde, were gone. So I think it was like Willie Tyler and Lester were in one corner, and the Landers sisters were over here, and Jim J. Bullock and Chris Lemon, who was not his dad, Jack Lemmon. And so this is what it was. You tape 5 shows in one day. And by the 4th show, I was the center square. So you realize that we're kind of, running low on talent. But I only remember, this is the way it worked, right? Technically, it's a quiz show, so they can't give you the answers. But they can tell you what the questions are, and they give you a suggested bluff, a suggested joke, or just say whatever you want. If you know the answer, go ahead, or make up your own answer. And the only question I remember was, Bob, you dream that you're at a party and you suddenly realize you're naked. What do psychologists say this indicates? And I said that it would be a good idea to steer clear of the fondue pot. That was my own.
That's nice.
They didn't give that to me.
And they call Bob and they say, hey, Charles Nelson Riley's a no-show. What do you got?
Bob, it has been an absolute pleasure. I mean, what a surprise guest. Martin, you've done it again. That's what you've done.
And you know what? Now you only have 22 minutes left in the hour, 18 of which will be commercials.
That's right. And boy, that's
not too far off.
Tough but fair. It's very accurate, actually. It's like you're in the traffic logs here.
And by the way, brace yourself in the remaining hour for irate calls from Trump fans. I'll be gone.
Those will be via the text line here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Bob, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to join us on the program. Great to talk it over with you.
See you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you. That's Bob Costas with us on the Collier and Thompson phone lines, 101 ESPN. Now we will circle back on the conversation in the next segment. This is TMA 101 ESPN. It is the morning after 101 ESPN, the 9 o'clock hour, presented to you here on TMA by Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies. He's online at evergreenstl.com. Fresh off of Bob Costas as the surprise guest. Doug, I was so just not hot on the trail of Bob Costas there.
Yeah, and the voice threw me off so bad. I wasn't even close to getting it.
And at the early going, people were getting mad, like, just say it already. But I wasn't sure how far to go with the bit. I was asking questions, trying to guide you guys, but the voice made it impossible.
It did.
When you said 40 years in network news or network, in the same building as Doug. I was right on the building, One Memorial Drive, and I was thinking, but Russ Mitchell worked at KMOV, but he wasn't in it for 40 years. And because
Russ Mitchell would be a good guess.
There you go. I guess because Jackson said a 9 out of 10, in my mind, I'm going, okay, because Costas, as far as recognizability, I think he is in the 10 pantheon.
Yeah, I would say 10 out of 10.
So that's why.
Now, there are some I know going into it who don't like Bob anymore, don't like his political opining. You know, he shares it. He's open to share it, obviously, as you heard on this show. So I think I didn't say 10, star power, 10. But in terms of likability, approval rating, you know, like I couldn't tell you Kevin Harlan's politics at all. And so he's probably a 10 in terms of our audience. Mm-hmm. So I knew that there'd be some blowback. Oh, it's Bob. But he, as you can tell at the beginning, likes to have fun and enjoyed the premise of the surprise guest, and his stories are great and have unbelievable detail. I love the fact he called in and Bob Costas is sounding like Elmo on this stupid show.
I remember Jack Buck once saying that he thought Bob Costas was probably the greatest television broadcasting talent ever. Mm-hmm. He thought that he was probably the best TV sportscaster the median has ever seen.
How about that? Doug said during the commercial break, it sounds like he is reading when he is speaking. Mm-hmm. And I recall, I think it was after Jordan's game-winning shot in Salt Lake in '98, which at the time was thought to be his final moment of his career. He just delivered this monologue that we know from being in the industry was not written on a teleprompter. Number one, the game had just ended. He couldn't have possibly written it out. But he was able to deliver with the expressions that you have when you're anchoring, because you've already written it or somebody has written it for you, and you're able to have that kind of delivery. It is absolutely brilliant. With regard to what has led to what may be record-breaking amount of texts, you know, the question that I asked wasn't like, so how about this, you know, Trump? How about this shooting in New York? The question that I asked, to bring people up to speed or just tuning in, was about, he made what clearly was a conscious decision to opine on topics that most people in sports stay away from. Now, I think one of the reasons he is able to do it is because he could, and basically has, shut it down. And he certainly doesn't need to work, and his kids wouldn't need to work, and his grandkids wouldn't need to work. He's done incredibly fine for himself. If you're coming up in the business, that isn't necessarily the position you can take. But I was curious if it was something that he had decided he was going to do, or if it was something that has just kind of come to him and now people ask him about it. And one of the things I was thinking, Martin, is I'd seen him on Bill Maher's show, and he made reference to that in his answer to my question. But I knew that it was his halftime monologues that got a lot of attention, and I think eventually played a role, and please correct me if I'm wrong, in his parting from NBC when he was talking about what he made reference to, the shooting, Javon Belcher, and the gun culture, that being one of them. So that's where I certainly wasn't looking for his opinions on those topics. But hey, he's our guest, and if that's where he wants to go, that's where he wants to go. We invited him on the program. But I was curious about the thought process to go from what he has been, as he said, going back to, 1972, when he met with Bob Hyland to get that job for $11,000 at KMOX, to what he talks about quite often now, which is the political climate and also media. And I actually really wanted to ask a follow-up on that, because I'd be really curious what his perspective is on media. But
like the changing landscape.
Absolutely. But he kind of spoke to it when he was talking about accepting an award at Syracuse, which is, one of the best journalism schools in the country. We always heard that coming up. Syracuse, Missouri, Northwestern were the three. I don't know what it is now. But, that's where he's coming from. And so that is the backstory as to how that topic came up.
Man, we could probably spend the next hour reading all the comments, but just a quick proof. I would say I think it's about 50-50.
That's what I was thinking too. But not just 50-50.
But passionately.
The intensity of the passion is
like Bob's delusional. Give me a break. Get him off the air. Don't want to hear this. Stick to sports. That kind of theme. And then there's another half that's saying love Bob, GOAT, classic. 100% agree, whatnot, which is great. I hope our audience is all over the board. I hope this is not a political channel, so we don't cater to any side. So if somebody comes on that has other opinions, then that's fine too. I'd love to hear everybody. I mean, that's Bob's opinion. It doesn't ruin my day. I mean, it's to me, it should be all are welcome. I get it, though. This is a sports channel. Stick to sports. But, Bob, you rock. And then the next one is like, loser, delusional, liberal, commie, all the things you can imagine. But I enjoyed the segment. I'll just leave it at that. I was entertained from Elmo voice to ending. I cowered it out at the end because he mentioned Syracuse, and I wanted to tie it in with you, Tim, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have a degree from Syracuse.
Nice.
And I wanted to
All
ask.
the greats, Doug.
I wanted to ask if that's really ever held him back in his career.
I want no part of your pursuit of Gaga.
There's Bob Costas with Ken Iggy Stroh, who is, I just looked it up, who is in the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, and he says, how's the 101 chat room doing? Chairman Kurt, I think, browsed it, and he said they were none too happy, and then he went back to the TMA chat, youtube.com/TMA.
Tim Beaufordise said, I have never listened to the 9 o'clock hour because I have a job. I didn't know the show turned into Lib Talk. Was that on the dossier, the Stiefel dossier today?
Jackson, did you put
Lib Talk in the 9 o'clock hour?
It's just kind of where the country is right now. You say anything political, and half the people love you and half the people hate you.
Which is why people don't talk about it.
Right.
But that's why then I'm getting into somebody here who, I don't know how old he was when he, just decided to do it. But
I think the earliest was the Chinese Olympics. Was that like 88 or something, where in the opening ceremony, he said something about, despite their human rights atrocities, here we are. And, and he had the clout at NBC. He could do that. If you were a lesser known or established broadcaster, you probably would have been fired on the spot. But I think he always kind of worked in, especially the Olympics, which is such a, politically charged country versus country.
Right.
I think that always was a setting for it. So I think that, to me, is when it kind of opened the door at least a little bit. And now mostly retired, does some MLB Network appearances. But I think he's more like, you didn't see him on a Bill Maher show when he was doing, regular NBC work. He's now more open to that, I think.
I recall there was a week. I mean, this still is bizarre to me that this actually happened, but it did. Where Joe Buck and I we were talking about doing a podcast. This is 2012, and he said, "Let's just try it out." And Inside STL, which owns the intellectual property of this particular program, owned the airtime on KFNS from 1 to 3, and so for the week, Joe and I did a show. Had a guest list. I recall Alex Rodriguez being on hold while we were talking to Wayne Gretzky because Joe was just going through his phone. I mean, it was insanity. So we have Costas on, and at the time, I say social media was big. I guess people who had careers were using social media as opposed to, people becoming stars because of social media, for lack of a better term, and then just the troll festival and whatever else, the engagement culture. And I recall asking Bob something along the lines of, you're not on Twitter. Why aren't you on Twitter? And he goes, why would I willingly subscribe to create an account for something that could destroy my career just by clicking submit? What would the upside of that be? I'm going, I'm going to tell you. And he was like Nostradamus with that. But interestingly enough, that being 2012, he has, obviously his career is, it speaks for itself as far as the track record. I mean, he will go down as one of the all-time greats, whether you agree with his politics or not. It's immaterial to that as far as a sportscaster goes. But that's why I was asking that question, because I knew that he was cognizant of the possibility of downside. And here over the last however many years, he has been as outspoken as you heard him here on our show today.
Remember when Twitter first came out, we had bosses, at least I did at Channel 4, saying, we want you to tweet at least maybe 5-10 times a day. Okay.
These are my new socks.
And at the time, we really didn't think about it being a controversial thing. They wanted sports updates and score updates and everything.
I had a boss who came, this is probably 2007, he said, everybody in the building now has to blog every day.
Oh, yeah, we went through that phase, too.
And I said, nobody wants to read what so-and-so, not naming names, of course, has to say. Pick a couple of people in the building who might have engaging personalities or interesting personal life, whatever. And maybe say, if you could, do a blog every once in a while. But to mandate everybody.
Yeah, spit out takes all day.
And then get mad if you did spit out a take.
Yes. Well, that's just it. You're going to get burned. Well, that's why this show is not AI-driven. Maybe it should be.
It is trade deadline day here throughout the day. No moves made since Shane Bieber went to the Blue Jays. But here over the next 7 hours, more moves are to come. It's just a matter of who is going to be going where. And with Steven Matz and Ryan Helsley going and Phil Maton being told, we don't need you to make the trip to San Diego with us, per Derek Gould, the Cardinals just need to make one more trade, and Jackson will be sending me what is called a double sawbuck.
Yeah. Well, 2 more. I guess if we're operating Maton is all but traded, which he is, then yes, then 1 more after that. Okay.
Now, my counsel, and I'm not saying whether or not this is my position, is going to make an attempt to count the Eric Fetty trade. And I'll let.
So you're going to be tied up in the courts for a while.
That's right. Before Jackson gets my $20.
We'll pay $20,000 lawyer fees for the $20. It's all principal, baby.
By the way, the opening. I went back to the text when we were trying to guess who it was. Somebody said Judy Tenuta. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
really
sure.
weird.
That'd be a nice get.
Doug, she used to play the accordion while she delivered her comedy.
And wasn't she at Hito with Iggy one year?
Yeah, I think she made a movie hanging at Hito.
And then Stephen Tom, who sometimes doesn't like me or Jackson or anything, said, "This is so weird, but I love it."
That sums it up. Martin, I know you have onboarding, and Chaim Bloom is handling both the trade deadline and your onboarding. So Martin will be heading out, but a big surprise guest. My goodness, these surprise guests here. I mean, they've been pretty damn strong.
Mm-hmm.
They've been pretty damn strong.
I've got one in the hopper. I think would be. I think it would be a well liked by everyone. There'd be no political leanings. It would just be fun. So we'll leave it at that.
Tucker Carlson will be the surprise guest next Thursday.
Doug, send me his number, would you?
We'll take a commercial break. Come back with the 10 o'clock hour. It's TMA 101 ESPN. Let me tell you about a local gem. It's Dents Express, family-owned and operated right here in St. Louis since 1992. Gray Wilson and his team are the go-to experts for paintless dent removal, whether it's hail damage, door dings, or those annoying shopping cart dings. What I love is these guys aren't just good, they are experienced. Their techs have been with them for over 20 years. That means you can trust the people working on your vehicle. They offer free evaluations, no appointment necessary, and they'll handle everything with your insurance. That's right, you just drop it off and they take it from there. They are open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and located right here in West County. Call 636-227-5050 or just swing by and tell Gray that I sent you their way. That's Dents Express, St. Louis's leader in hail damage repair. They're going to take care of your car, and they're going to handle everything with your insurance. It's Dents Express, located right here in West County. Call 636-227-5050 or just swing by and tell Gray we sent you their way from TMA. It's Dents Express, St. Louis's leader in hail damage repair.
This is Jackson with the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. A lot of trade deadline stories will be going on today here on 101 ESPN. You can follow along and listen as the trade deadline unfolds. 5 p.m. at the end of the trade deadline. That was another Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
We got some breaking news here on the trade deadline. Mason Miller, I mean, a star closer who the A's said they weren't going to move, per Jeff Passan, is going to the Padres. The A's the Padres are acquiring closer Mason Miller and starter J.P. Sears from the Athletics. How about that? That's a big move right there.
Yeah, two good pitchers.
That is a big move.
Last year, Miller was about the best in the game.
He was a proud member of the Prime Minister's Fantasy Baseball Club, LLC.
He was great. This year, he's got 20 saves with a lousy team, 3.76 ERA. He is really good. Throws about 100 miles an hour.
The top shortstop prospect of the A's, Leodalis DeVries, is... the Padres is now headed to the A's. Jeff Passan with that report moments ago. So Mason Miller on the move. That is a move that the A's had just said about 48 hours ago that they would not be willing to entertain. If I'm the A's, I'm doing it. Again, this is closer. This is running back in the NFL. This is optimize it while you can. I realize he's a star. They're not close. Smart move. Also, kind of like the Rams with picking up Todd Gurley, they've got a move that they're going to be making. Ideally, they can peak right when they get to Las Vegas. So the A's now get the Padres' top shortstop prospect. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, so feel free to attack. 314-399-9646 is where you can attack, or the YouTube chat, Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, youtube.com/TMSTL. Doug, Leodalis DeVries? Leodalis DeVries?
Mm-hmm. I like how he goes to his left, Tim. He can throw from the hole when he has to.
Real nice.
And I think he'll develop into a better hitter.
I think
That's
he nailed
the scouting
it.
report on him.
Yeah, Leo DeVries.
You could say that about every minor league shortstop, couldn't you? He's got a good arm, athletic kid. I think he'll develop into a better hitter than what he's doing now.
So there is a big move today. Do you think we're going to see another big move, or do you think that this is going to be silent? I think we're going to see a big move. That's where I am.
So, here's how I'll frame that. Do you think there will be a bigger move than Eugenio Suarez?
Probably not.
I would be surprised on that.
Yeah, but maybe just right below that if you're tier ranking it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is some big names, relatively speaking. I don't know how many Hall of Famers are moving around. Right. Have already gone, and so it allows for, and that's where I'm coming in on the Arenado thing. With Suarez going last night, for those of you just joining us, I am of the opinion that it's better than 50%. That doesn't mean that it's even 70%, but better than 50% that Arenado will be traded by 5 o'clock. That when these moves have been made, for the number of closers that have been made, and the third baseman, that it then clears the deck to have conversations about players deeper down rosters that weren't at the top of the menu for the trade deadline. A lot of those players have already gone.
Right.
So that's where I'm coming from on it. And that is why this is the last time I'm going to do it. I'll offer you $15 to buy out of our wager.
Nope.
This guy's going down with his ship.
In there.
He's going down with his ship, Doug.
No guts, no glory.
The bet, for the record, is that more than 3.5 members of the Cardinals' major league roster will be traded by 5 p.m. So far, Steven Matz and Ryan Helsley. Phil Maton told he doesn't need to travel with the Cardinals to San Diego. So we're operating on the premise that is going to be 3. And then I just need one more. Bob Nightingale in the 7 o'clock hour tweeted that the Astros and Phillies, amongst other teams, are talking with the Cardinals about Lars Nootbar, Alec Burleson, and Brendan Donovan. Then you get into the Maton, Jojo Romero category. Arenado talking to John Denton of MLB.com, saying that he has to take care of some things first. But with what's going on with the Cardinals here, with Helsley going away, who's one of his closer friends, he may be open to going somewhere if it happens. He also said he'd be fine if it doesn't happen. So, Doug, there is your Cardinal update for the trade deadline as of 10:10 on trade deadline day, with 6 hours and 50 minutes remaining.
Well, Arenado's right when he says he'll be fine no matter what happens, because he is still making, $32 million a year. So life is not going to be too rough for him, whichever way it goes.
It's going to be tough if he has to move away from that Anti-Ann standalone.
He could build his own, couldn't he?
Yeah,
maybe become a franchisee.
Wouldn't have the same
I think
pop.
you need $50 million liquid to get the standalone.
He probably has that.
I think it's tied up in the Tam Avenue Capital Partners. We haven't had a great year or existence.
Wouldn't that be odd if the Arenado, the sticking point is a standalone Anti-Hymns franchise?
Yeah. Hey, listen, everyone's got their thing. Here's my deep pretzels.
What about maybe Jack's guy, John King? You come at the King, you best not miss. That's from Big Tuft. Well, Doug, unfortunately, he went on the IL.
Yeah. So, he's staying around.
Yeah.
It's good.
Might be it for the rest of the year for him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do they say an oblique? Is that what it is?
If you're kind of hurt on a team going nowhere towards the end of the year, does it make any sense to rush to get back and maybe hurt yourself more?
Probably not, but if you're the Cardinals and you will be trading 3 bullpen arms, you might be like, we need somebody who can really throw.
Who's going to be the Cardinal closer? Southside Seaman need to know.
O'Brien?
Yeah, you might be right on that.
Graceffo?
That's the one that I was thinking.
Yeah. Nothing that really gets you real fired. What are they going to do now, because they have the Helsley thing where they turn the lights red when he comes out? What are they going to do for O'Brien?
Turn him green. That's anti-Irish.
I don't want to say it.
Have some leprechauns dancing.
Doug.
Man, that's not. I look forward to your statement on Twitter today to the Irish community.
They're upset by that. They're not upset at Notre Dame, are they?
My burners will be all over you. No, I'm just in the victim business.
Oh, okay.
He's upside down on some of these pretzel features.
That's exactly right. Email in. The morning after at InsideSTL.com. Design, air, heating, and cooling email today. The program's called TMA. It's presented by Brown and Crouppen. It's TMA 101 ESPN shows presented to you by Brown and Crouppen. We've been joined by surprise guest Bob Costas in the 9 o'clock hour and monitoring the trade deadline throughout the program. The biggest move that was just made here within the last 15 minutes. The Padres, always aggressive at the deadline under A.J. Preller, acquiring Mason Miller and J.P. Sears from the A's in exchange for top shortstop prospect Leo Dallas DeVries.
Leo DeVries is what I've been seeing.
Nice. Thank you, Jackson. Okay. As Mark Feinstein just tweeted, as I said on MLB Network, we should rename the trade deadline A.J. Preller Day. The Padres GM always makes things interesting, and he's done it again this year with the Mason Miller deal.
That seems like a really great trade for right now for the Padres. I don't know how good this prospect is. He must be pretty good. But the Padres have a chance to catch the Dodgers.
Yes.
They're only 3 games back, and they've won 5 in a row, playing well. Who would have thought that?
Well, Jackson had Mike Schilt on the hot seat.
Remains warm.
It's not warm.
Remains warm.
I mean, just for the record, they're 60 and 49 and 3 games back of the defending world champion Dodgers.
Yeah, back, not in front. Back is the word. And
so you think for the second time in his career he'd get fired for no apparent reason?
I thought that they demanded excellence. Preller's aggressive. I don't know. I thought, when I hear games back, I don't care for the Dodgers, Yankees. I don't care who you are.
Look at this. This guy, if you're not in first, you're in last. That's the mindset over there.
Second place is first loser.
Think about that.
So anyone who doesn't win a division, you're out?
Yeah, that seat's hot. Now I hope they keep Marmol for the Cardinals.
You think they will?
It doesn't make much of a difference to me. It's who are you going to put in the...
It just seems like if you're going to start over, you're probably going to start over everywhere, doesn't it?
Likely. I don't know. We don't know. No.
I feel like I'll have a better idea on the answer to that question based on how the next 6.5 hours go. Like, for example, this is a minor thing, but the fact that they put Herrera in left field, to me, was a big deal. And the reason is they went off of this stagnant brand that they've been for much of the last decade and going, okay, yeah, I guess we're 3.5 games out of the wild card, but we know what we're doing here. It didn't happen, and we're trading guys away. Let's get him out there, and let's start to make moves for the future. And so if the mindset is we recognize we have to make changes, even if the brand of the organization under Bill DeWitt Jr. has not been to do that, then I would say, okay, they're going to make a move at manager. Even if they do not believe he is the problem. And I think they probably don't believe he's the problem. But they're going to make a move. The tough thing is, if that were to happen, I don't know how different this baseball team looks in 2026, considering the work stoppage that I think factors into their model for beyond 26. And then you're allowing a guy to come in who is going to be handed, a dumpster fire. And how fair is that? So that's what I would think they're balancing if they are really considering that. Now, if all they do is trade Maton, in addition to Helsley and Matz going out the door, and it's just kind of what, most fans thought it was going to be, and I'm like, okay, probably just going to let Marmol stay in there for another year and see what winds up happening. So
yeah, it would look like largely the same team next year that they had this year,
yes,
minus a few guys in the pen. I don't think fans want to see that. I don't know that they can do a whole lot to avoid that.
Yeah.
Just because their hands are tied with some guys that they'd like to move and can't.
Hey, guys, would you rather keep Marmol and see what he can do with a better team in a few years, or just pull the plug now because at least you'd get a feeling that the organization is doing something? That is from Big Tuft.
They may want to do that. They'd probably want to get somebody that would be popular with the fans, I think, because they got to get some sizzle back in the franchise, I think.
So have Marmol, have next year work stoppage, have some of the younger players start to come into their own in 2027 with Albert Pujols or Yadier Molina as the manager.
Yeah, the fans would love that. They'd love that. It won't be Molina, but they sure love Pujols.
It won't be Molina, you say?
No, I don't think it'll be Molina.
Why do you say that?
I don't think he has the personality to want to do it.
You heard his brother. He was standing right in the studio.
I know.
What went through your mind when you were told that the contract was done?
What's that? How about that?
Huh. Yeah.
More of that.
Well, it won't be Calvin. I don't think Calvin will get the gig. I think Pujols would probably be really good, and I think Molina might just go crazy with all the media you'd have to do as a manager.
I'd like to see Oli stay. He's done a great job with a crappy roster and situation. That's from the 314.
Okay. Well, there's people who are going to say that. There's going to others say, my goodness, we've done nothing with this guy. Why are they hanging on to him?
Guys, is there a similarity to hockey where certain coaches are better for rebuilding and other coaches are better for chasing championships? That's from the 314.
Probably so.
I guess the Rangers with Bochy would be an example of that.
And La Russa would be a guy you'd want to win right now with. I don't think he'd want to necessarily want to manage a team with a bunch of young guys with no hope.
The thing is about him, and I realize I'm going back 3 decades here, he came here following the 95 season, and the Cardinals were so bad that Joe Torre got fired in that season. And I don't know about you, and you covered the team, but when I look at Cardinal playoff teams, the 1996 Cardinals, when you look at the roster, you kind of go, man, that team was a win away from beating the team of the 90s, at the very least in the National League, in the Atlanta Braves. That's just, you look at the roster, and it's very surprising to see. And then La Russa's tenure became about McGuire in 97, 98, 99 before the run began in 2000.
And then his most recent team, if you remember the time when the White Sox hired La Russa, they were like right there on the precipice with a really young team. And that took people by surprise as they went the direction of Tony La Russa. But that, like to what you're saying, Doug, like you kind of want a guy who's, he gets a team, batteries included, fresh out, ready out of the box.
Yeah. And I would think if you have a locker room full of really young players, you might want a youngish manager.
Yeah, would agree. Although some older guys appeal better to younger guys, and then something like having an older guy, like a legend, almost like
some guys just appeal to everybody.
Keeps the young guys on their P's and their Q's.
Cardinals need, at the least, a Joe Kelly, someone without resting Jackson face.
Oh,
that's from Hunchback of Vaughn Castle. What does that mean?
Resting Jack, like pale?
They need someone with a better tan?
Yeah. Oli Marmol, certainly, yeah. I'm much more pale than Oli Marmol.
So maybe he's the right fit after all.
So if that's the scale, I mean, pretty much all of humanity is going to be up for the gig, which is tough.
Yeah, it's tough to do the interviews if you're interviewing everybody.
I'd be super cool if Joe Kelly became the manager, though.
That'd be good entertainment.
How awesome would that be?
Text in 314-399-9646, Air Comfort Service text inbox. Talk it over with other friends at the Michelob Ultra YouTube chat, youtube.com/TMA. STL 100 West Dental is located in Baldwin on Manchester, and no phone calls needed to get in. You just check the calendar online for availability, and then you book right then and there. They have a huge offer going on now that if you mention my name, you're going to get $1,000 off Invisalign with 100 West Dental. If you're on the fence about Invisalign, they have a digital scanner that can show you a simulation of what it'll look like before you even go through with it. No insurance, no problem. The membership plan aids in the cost of dental work for those who do not have dental insurance. It's 100 West Dental and Dr. Brandon Pryor. Make sure you get your teeth checked up with 100 West Dental. It's important to not just your dental health, but your overall physical health. 100westdental.com or call 636-585-0100. The program's called TMA, 101 ESPN.
nothing to play for except their pride. And now that's even starting to slide. Attendance is low and more, all is two. Trade deadlines looming, what will they do? At the start of the year, hopes were high. Now watching this team is like watching paint dry.
Collective band behind it, Beth. Happily to these sad lyrics.
The well was full, but now it's dry. Might as well call it one.
You can see the Rockettes behind him.
Have you a beer? Look out, MLB. We'll get you next year. Yeah, we'll get your asses next year. What's that you say? I said we'll get your asses next year.
Good finish, Doug.
Oh, what a rendition there by the chairman of the board. It's a trade deadline music theme return.
Mm-hmm. And the guys playing their instruments just with all kinds of enthusiasm.
Brass section firing in there. That's so good.
Tip of the cap. Who is producing
that? One is a Rodgers and Hammer Toe production.
Just well done.
Really well done.
Perfect song for the birds, as this seems like something that would play as a large cruise ship is sinking into the abyss. That's Carlos Spicy Wiener. Guys, this song should be on repeat on 101 until blues season. That's from Merp the Barbarian.
I guess the beauty of AI is you could come up with a new song almost every day, depending on what happened the night before.
A Missouri Central Arkansas theme song coming your way, Doug, 4 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, I would expect it.
If there was a movie on the 2025 Cardinals, that would be perfect for like the closing credits as Mo turns out the lights over at the Busch Stadium.
Guys, do the newly traded prospects hit their 7-irons over 120 yards? That's from Gooner Reloaded, not from Mr. Siders.
I bet they
Doesn't
do.
make me feel any better.
I bet they do.
I don't hit it 120. 120, come on.
That's if you really get a hold of it.
I'd be hitting like 3 wood, like 170 at that point. That'd be rough.
Is that the carry?
That'd be rough if it was. I'd be teeing forward. I'll tell you that much. If I was hitting at 120.
What do you mean teeing it forward? Like use the ladies' tees? Senior tees?
The forward tees.
Okay, the senior tees.
The USGA likes to refer to them as forward tees, middle tees, back tees, not for what some people might think, but because some people have like they don't want to tee up from the ladies' tees, quote unquote, but they should probably be playing from that distance, make the game more fun, make the pace of play more palatable for the other golfers. So calling them forward tees kind of takes away some of that stigma.
I see.
Tee it forward, their initiative that they started.
You
like
probably
10 years
learned that
ago.
at golf school.
Yeah, but I mean, you could go out to like a public course on the weekend. Like you could probably hand pick a bunch of groups and be like, you could probably tee it up one tee forward and have a lot more fun. You shoot better, you feel better about it, but stigma.
You wouldn't think it would make that big of a difference, but it does. Really.
Huge.
The return that the A's are getting for Mason Miller and Sears the following. How about this? Not just the Padres' #1 shortstop prospect, Leo DeVries. They're also getting their #3 prospect, a right-handed pitcher by the name of Braden Nett. Their #13 prospect by the name of Henry Baez. And their #17 prospect, Ed Nunez. That is from Jeff Passan. So quite a haul for the A's in exchange for Mason Miller and J.P. Sears.
Yeah, you would need a haul because Miller's a dominant closer and he's still only 26, so he figures to be around a few more years anyway.
Trying to find out his contract information because if he has a bunch more years of control, that would certainly make sense why.
Miller?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Oh,
Yeah.
Miller definitely has a bunch of years of control.
Yeah, he has his
He was a rookie last year, wasn't
right.
he?
Yeah, his first year of arbitration is next year. So if you're out there thinking like, boy, we didn't get that kind of haul for Helsley, you have Mason Miller for another 4 or 5 years at least.
Cardinals fan base has had to endure manager and pitching coach learning on the fly. No previous experience, especially pitching coach. College baseball analytics. Guess they have to start somewhere. Can they have our new left fielder use 2 hands till he's proficient? I guess you smirked at it. I guess you're smirked at for using 2 hands. That makes sense. I guess you are, just missed the apostrophe. I guess you're smirked at for using 2 hands. Like Mays, McGee, Edmonds, Scott's embarrassing. Herrera and Walker overdoing it, covering their ground. That's from the 636.
A lot of guys don't catch fly balls with 2 hands anymore. That started when the gloves were so bad. If you didn't have both hands there, the ball would come out. You haven't really had to use 2 hands in a long time. But I think sometimes it's still the way it's taught.
You duff your hybrid from a $1.86. Who you trying to kid? That's from Mr. Siders.
I duffed my hybrid from 186. I don't duff it every time.
Yeah, we had video of that bad duff.
We did, Doug. Yeah.
And right off the heel of the club.
Yeah, no.
Just kind of dribbled.
I know, yeah.
So
really
people
tough.
got the impression that's what you normally do.
Right, no, for sure. You know, your son stood up for me because my hybrid was in your bag because you stole it and put it in there and you denied it. And your son was like, yeah, he does it all the time.
How could I have stole your hybrid? You were the one hitting. You
it
were
was
the one
in there
duffing
mixing up with your bad mojo. That's why I duffed it.
Seems unfair.
You're telling me.
I'll tell you what's really unfair is that's when your air conditioner stops working.
Yeah, that's really brutal.
But what sets the scales back is when you call Design Air, because they'll get right out there, they'll hustle, toot sweet. They'll get back out there, and they'll get it working. They've been doing that since 1904. That's how long Design Air has been around. Well, since before air conditioning was even a thing. They were ready to go, just waiting for air conditioners to be invented, and then they pounced. But they were also fixing furnaces back then. So any kind of HVAC issue you may have, Design Air Heating and Cooling is where you need to go. Seth Goldcamp runs the show there, a name you can trust, leading a team that truly values integrity. They also happen to be the longest-running sponsor on this here presentation. Design Air, they believe in honest work. You will never be sold something you don't need. Whether you're dealing with the St. Louis heat or the winter cold, they have got your back with dependable service and no-pressure solutions. Visit designairservice.com and schedule your service today. Design Air, comfort you can count on since 1904 and home of the handsome repairman.
If Jackson isn't hitting at 170 after being on a golf team and being in the physical prime of his life in his late 20s, it ain't happening. Jackson was distracted when he duffed it because he had his Nancy Drew paperback on his mind. That's from the TMA remote lamp.
Well, it could have been.
I was reading a great book at the time. So.
And it was a Nancy Drew mystery?
It was not a Nancy Drew mystery.
Hardy Boys?
No. Contemporary thrillers. And
contemporary thrillers.
I do like a paperback. I much prefer a paperback.
Well, now, why would that be the case?
It's more malleable. You know, you throw it in your backpack. Something about a paperback that just screams like reading in the summer.
It does.
Yeah.
Reading in the summer. You can email in the summer, the morning after at InsideSTL.com for our Design Air Heating and Cooling email today. I received an email from a listener that I am going to read to you on the other side of the break, Doug. You're going to want to stick around.
Okay.
He says this speaks to the tone-deaf nature of the Cardinals. I'll have that for you next. This is TMA 101 ESPN.
This is Jackson with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals lose yesterday, losing the series 2-3 to Miami. Off today for the Redbirds as they head out to Southern California, where they'll take on the Padres tomorrow evening. That's going to be an 8:40 p.m. first pitch with Matthew Liberatore on the mound for the Redbirds. That was another Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Well, final day of July. It's not only trade deadline day, but it's also the showdown for Buck Swope and Paul Harvey Milk Mustache. If Buck Swope can win today's Design Air Heating and Cooling email today, he's going to force a one-game playoff tomorrow for the July crown. You also have about 15 minutes to sign up to be the TMA Listener of the Month for the month of July, TMASTL.com. Great news. You can maintain your anonymity. Doug would like you to use your real name.
Government name.
But you do not have to do that. The Design Air Heating and Cooling email today and the TMASTL Lister of the Month all decided here, coming up in a matter of 15 minutes as we monitor the trade deadline closely. About 6 hours and 15 minutes left. Doug, how many more moves will the Cardinals make? And will Jackson be Venmoing me a double sawbuck? Or will my team of attorneys be filing an appeal based on Eric Fetty counting as a trade? And when Phil Maton gets moved, I'll be at 4, and that'll be great. That'll be
I'm going to say they'll make 2 more moves.
Oh,
they'll make the
Jackson,
the Maton,
I'll offer you a buyout of $18.
They'll make the Maton move and then to do something to surprise us.
Nice.
I could totally see that. I'm hoping that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
You want to lose this double sawbuck.
Sure. Now I have vested interest in it only being Maton, but I would like to see the Cardinals move on from if they can get the good haul.
I think maybe an outfielder will go
either Nootbar or Burleson.
Yeah. Just to try to get something going.
This is the email I was deep teasing before the commercial break, and the title of it is Cardinal Apathy. The reasons that you guys have been giving for the last few weeks and months are all well documented and accurate. But let me give you a new reason. The Cardinals, quote, organization is absolutely tone deaf with their season ticket base. Here is the proof. I and everyone else just got our renewal letter for next year's tickets yesterday. I've had season tickets since 1983 and have always paid for them in late January, but not anymore. My ticket cost is up 15%, and they want payment by September 5th. Oh, boy, Doug. This sounds like the Dan Marshall era where people run into the banks to make sure their check's cashed. They want full payment now for games that won't be played for over 1 year. Meanwhile, they cut payroll by $40 to $50 million and trade for Class A talent for Ryan Helsley that is 3 years away from playing here, but have the stones to raise my ticket costs 15%. Also, they should fire the consulting firm who told them to do this. Is the 20th year of the original Founders Club PSL schedule when we can all walk and get our original money back, albeit spread over 4 years so they can float us one last time. And they are currently playing in front of 10 to 15,000 fans per game and dropping. I already have to talk to friends controlling 24 seats of season tickets who are not going to renew for 2026. After 43 years of loyalty, I am out too. The whole organization is stale, and the DeWallets need to sell the team and enjoy the real estate across the street that our money has provided and bought for them. And then the person says, please do not use my name. And I see the reason why they do not want to use the name, and it is reasonable. This is not coming from some AOL account, all due respect to many listeners. But that is a tone-deaf move. You send out... But I got to tell you, what's the deal with the gotta pay it by September 5th thing?
Yeah, well, and like you have
what
to pay
is
before
that? That's like my high school bookie.
Yeah, you have to pay for 2026 before 2025
and you're
ends.
sending it out right now?
It's crazy.
What the hell's that about?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's shocking.
I guess they're going to try to get more from the season ticket base to pay for the money they haven't made this year.
But he makes the point that if you're one of the originals, because this will be the 20th year of the ballpark, you now have the ability to opt out and get your money back.
Right. And I get the idea of like wanting to get that money in early, but also like, wouldn't you think right now is the time where Cardinal fans are at their least happy, you know, like right at the deadline?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's tone deaf.
It's best to do in December when people like forgot how painful it is to watch a mediocre baseball team.
Wow. Thank you for that email to the person who sent it in. And, Doug, now it's time to thank other emailers because it's time for the Design Air Heating and Cooling Email of the Day.
Okay.
Remember, if Buck Swope can win, we have a one-game sudden death playoff tomorrow for the month of July's title. This is fun, though, isn't it?
Good times. Fun. Wild times, good times, fun times. The best of times.
Watch this. Hot cross buns. Tee. Thanks, and Young. That's from number one agent intern Brian Henson.
Perhaps the worst email we've ever received. Brian Henson with the worst email we've ever received.
It's from number one agent intern Brian Henson, who sometimes goes by his YouTube handle ASMR Ting Ting 67.
And this is a writer.
He's covering the Colts. Mm-hmm. I am prioritizing my family over Colts coverage and whisper videos. I have reached the mountaintop as the self-appointed number one intern Asian on the morning after. So now it's time to look out for me and my family. In the meantime, find my NFL/WNBA newsletter, Cold Scratch Fever, on Substack. Sign up today for 50% off a premium sub and an early look back at next week's episode of Movie Boy. Big fan. Doug, that's Brian Henson who wants a free gluten-free perk.
This is all in the same email? Or
Yes.
was this a second
It was
one?
a signature.
A lot of it was in the signature.
Brian Henson.
That's what makes him great. That's what makes him number one is he puts the meat in the signature.
That's right. Guys, plops here. The MLB trade deadline is a stone's throw away, and Tim, as you know, it falls this year on the feast day of St. Ignatius, AMDG indeed, which today, of course, stands for Mets done got him. But it'll be interesting to see what other moves happen for the Redbirds between now and sundown. You like that, now and sundown?
I don't mind it.
Dusk.
Okay.
I can't help but think about this. Remember 80s wrestling legend Dino Bravo? Well, imagine him clapping my cheeks atop a barge as we drift down the Mississippi River?
What in the world?
Unrelated? Maybe, but Doug, as you know, the trade deadline is a wild time and anything is possible. Just be ready. Thanks. That's from Misty Plops.
You know, Doug.
Odd. Misty Plops. Odd.
Boy, this is a long email about twerking.
Okay. No. Edit it.
Oh, no, it's called dworking. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hold on a second. There's one more. You guys think today's Evergreen show will stumble its way into the best of audio file years from now? Can't imagine there will ever be a time where mumbling Blaze Jordan like it's Beetlejuice won't be current. Anyway, the trade deadline is allegedly the focus, but what we get is Tim spoon-feeding a Mariners rumor like it's a new personality trait. Jackson refusing a buyout like he's got integrity, and a running bit on Youngry that sounds like a failed NIL campaign for a JUCO long snapper. Meanwhile, Wilson Contreras is begging to stay in St. Louis like it's a hostage tape, and someone somewhere is pretending Blaze Jordan returning is equivalent to a parade down the late-night speedway known as Market Street that everyone has to pretend is safe because they're loyal to the soil. Oh, look, there's a surprise guest at 9 o'clock, which is code for texting a third-tier media guy during the break and pretending it was well planned. Let it be awful, boys, with more guests, dozens of more guests. Best, that's Klaus Fisher of Men.
Jeez.
Bob Costas, third-tier media guy.
Wow. Got high standards as Klaus. Klaus Fisher of Men. With another poor email.
Right now, Henson's in the clubhouse feeling good.
Could be. Yeah. The other one had Dino Bravo on a barge. What in the world's wrong with these people?
Welcome to St. Louis, where baseball tradition meets front office sedation. The reset. That word they keep feeding fans like it's a pastrami, pulled pork brisket, chili slinger dog has officially become a euphemism for we're too proud to admit we blew it. It's year 3 of this front office office fever dream, and instead of acquiring talent, Mo is spending deadline day polishing his loafers and rearranging the deck chairs on the SS arbitrage of mediocrity. The most exciting thing that has happened down there this year is when they tried to kill Tim by having the set collapse on his head. It's your opening day remote.
That was wild.
Newsflash, Mo, it's going to take a lot more than that to take out our broadcast hero. Meanwhile, DeWitt's main concern is whether to give away a Jeremy Hazelbaker or Peter Borges bobblehead and trying to get PSY to perform Gangnam Style at Please Come Down Here So We Don't Go Bankrupt Village after a 7-0 loss to the Pirates. Spoiler alert, it'll be whichever one costs less. Busch Stadium now feels like a Rust Belt Greyhound station with overpriced beer and a light show. The stands are 3/4 empty, and the loudest noise all month came from a hefty St. Charles mother of 7 wooing like Ric Flair when a Savannah banana dworked in the on-deck circle. The only sense of urgency around the team is the race to get to your car before the windows get smashed out and your diabetes-riddled wife succumbs to the 100-degree heat and 150% humidity. But hey, those helmet nachos are still available for $15.99. This team isn't rebuilding, it's rotting. And no amount of legacy propaganda, 2012 hip-hop artists, or retro powder blues can mask that the Cardinals have become what they once mocked. A franchise too rich to be this poor and too arrogant to care. Are you not entertained? And now you know the rest of the story. Doug, that's from Paul Harvey, Milk Mustache.
Paul Harvey, Milk Mustache. Okay.
Loaded for bear.
Yeah, boy, it's harsh.
And finally, now these baby birds gonna die 4th place by late July. All the haters be singing this tune. They'll be golfing in October while the fans just goon. Credit to the Cardinals front office for finally unloading Helsley for prospects. How will history remember the Steven Matz era? Well, probably as a typical milquetoast Mozeliak signing where the Cardinals bet on the come on an average player coming off a career year only for him to revert to being average on the Cardinals. And what's the media in this town talking about? Michael Jackson taking a chimpanzee to an award show 40 years ago.
It's a natural segue.
For the record, the King of Pop never took Bubbles to the award show. That's fake news in the mind of the same confused boy who mixed up Chris Christopherson, Caucasian country singer, with Chris Cross, the African-American boy rap duo, who wore their clothes backward. Now, in 1984, Michael Jackson did take 12-year-old Emmanuel Lewis along with 18-year-old Brooke Shields to the Grammys. Yikes! Can't wait for Movie Boy Sode 3 with Genie of Pepper and Genie making his glorious return to the pre-revenue wing of the Hubbard family of podcasts. Will Movie Boy walk back his rhetoric that rebooted sequels to popular comedy films from 30 years ago, quote, don't work? Will Movie Boy double down that despite the record streaming numbers, Happy Gilmore 2 is incoherent cameo porn? I fully expect Iggy to complain the partial nudity warning was misleading and they shouldn't be allowed to say that unless there's some breast. It matters. It matters. That's from Buck Swope. Wow. DVA, the recessed lady's breast. And Doug, that's what we have for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. Did Buck Swope force a one-game playoff on Friday, August 1st, 2025?
I believe that he did. It was between Buck and Paul Harvey, of course, but I think Buck brought it a little stronger. I'm going Buck.
Even Hinchin could have won today.
No, he couldn't have.
But I like a good playoff. I'm going Buck Swope as well.
As much as I like it, Brian Hinchin wrote the best email to me.
Oh, wow. And I was actually going to go with Paul Harvey, so it doesn't matter. Buck Swope has won.
Okay, good.
And forced a one-game playoff tomorrow, Doug. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Exciting stuff. How many months have Buck Swope won? It's been a number of them over the years, right?
You want me to, like, the entirety of the
I'm just throwing that out.
Crowdsourcing. Just do a little crowdsourcing. This is your garden variety crowdsourcing.
Yeah, boilerplate.
It was kind of rhetorical more than anything else.
I can say that since probably tracking has started on the email today.
Which just started today.
Well, I don't know how long it's been tracked for, but I would say he's probably won the most months.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
I mean, he's a straight-up gangster, isn't he?
But
writes
also,
something
he
every
didn't
day.
used to email, if I'm not mistaken, email in all that much. Like during like the Swopes Picks era, I don't think he was. But he can obviously speak to that more than I can.
Maybe Buck Swope will join us tomorrow. Surprise guest. BK and Ferrari are coming up next. Miss anything today? You can always go back and watch it at youtube.com/TMASTL or podcast via the Schaefer Door Company podcast app. Jackson, have we tended to all of our necessary business?
We have.
Why, we have indeed. So BK and Ferrari will come in. I would imagine they will be busy as more trades will be coming in over the next 3 hours. And then the Fast Lane will take you home with the trade deadline coming to a conclusion at 5 p.m. For Jackson Burkett, for Chairman Kurt, for Martin Kilcoyne, for my brother Kevin, for Douglas Elvin Vaughn, I am Tim McKernan. This has been TMA, presented by Brown and Crouppen on 101 ESPN and the TMA STL YouTube channel.